Arden Street as North Melbourne and Carlton kick off round 3 in the VFL season. Their AFL teams meet later today in the Super Clash. That clash has been dominated by Carlton in recent years. This VFL matchup's been dominated by North. They've won the past 3, the last 2 by under 2 points. So we could be in for a close one this morning. Joel Peterson, Bonnie Toogood and Josh Jenkins with you. And Bonnie, Zach Fisher, he's had experience at AFL level at Carlton. He's had experience at AFL level at North. He'll be pivotal to the Roos today.
He will be in playing his old colours, I suppose. And he had a little smile on his face there, reconnecting with some old friends, I'm sure. But he was pivotal last week, 24 disposals, 1 goal, 3 tackles and 3 clearances. His run with the footy is so important for North Melbourne. Will be interesting to see that today. And
the opposite 16, JJ and Ben Camporeale, is going to be important too.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't be too far away from promotion. 27 touches last week against Willie. They almost got the job done, the Blues. So he'll be in for a big one.
Absolutely. They're about to get set. Gives us a chance to go downstairs and check in with Drew Jones, who's boundary side. Morning, Drew.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, it's been a wet Good Friday morning in Melbourne, but fortunately it has cleared nicely. The sun just trying to poke through in the last few minutes, so 18 degrees to top today. Just a slight breeze favouring the northern end here at Arden Street. So a late change for North. River Stevens is out. McLaren Spiteri is in. And we saw Tristan Sherry having a run around this morning. And, of course, that is topical of 3-game suspension with Taylor Goad, the young North Melbourne ruckman, hoping to force his way in for an AFL debut. He got through an ankle fitness test yesterday. Big day here at Arden Street. We can't wait to get underway.
Absolutely. There is Taylor Goad awaiting his opportunity. Did that ankle of training in mid-February. South Australian hasn't played at the top level yet. North fans will be eagerly awaiting him staking his claim in this clash this morning. Underway at Arden Street. Reedy and Goad get us going. Immediately Thompson Dow forces it loose for the Roos. A tumbling ball inside the 50. An immediate free kick. And Braden George is going to be the beneficiary.
Perfect way to start. Just any way you can, particularly, Bonnie, if there's a little bit of dew or slipperiness on the ground, just get it forward early in games, give yourself an opportunity and win a free kick. Could be the perfect start.
There's plenty of slipperiness, as you can see, the rain falling once more. It's been showers on and off this morning in Melbourne, and this man, he's been luckless. In his 4th season at North Melbourne, he's played just the 20 games across that period. This would be a very nice start. He's hung that kick a long way wide.
I think it also shows how important centre bounce clearance is, and when the ground is set up in 6-6-6, how you have 1v1s ahead of the football, and just getting it into your forward 50 quickly from that centre bounce is crucial.
Yeah, we're seeing that all across the AFL competition with the new rules and how prolific and how potent you can be if you can win those centre bounce clearances. And that one wasn't sexy, but it was almost effective.
Well, Harry Charleston's kick certainly wasn't sexy, and he wasn't particularly effective either. Picked up by Sardi, defence for the Blues, gave it away to Spargo. Now Chesser, exiting hand pass. You can see that rain tumbling down again, and things getting pretty slippery for the players early in this one as Hudson O'Keefe tries to keep it in play. The big fella back in the reserves for Carlton, having played in that loss to Melbourne last week at AFL level.
You got to love Melbourne, don't you? It was beautiful and sunny for the players' pre-game warm-up.
Just snuck in Drew on camera, and then the rain came tumbling down. Reedy with the clearance. He sends it up toward half-forward. Impressive mark from Riley Hardiman, another who had an untimely injury, an ankle that he did in a practice match against Melbourne right on the eve of the season. Played plenty of AFL last year, 17 games at the top level. Dawson tried to find him here. He slips out of the tackle, then had to get crafty to send it down the broadcast wing. Waiting for it, Nakunda, the rookie for the Roos. Haynes can't keep it alive.
Do you think the runner gets out there now with all the rain and maybe changes the tempo of the game or the style that each team went in to?
Yeah, it's a good point, a really good point in terms of the quickest team to adjust. I mean, and then the ability also to adjust away once the rain eventually clears. So it's a good challenge for young teams. There is plenty of AFL experience on both groups, though.
Thompson down there for the Roos, who's one of those, having played with Richmond in recent seasons. Reedy pumps it forward. Through the hands there of Hugh Byrne, who's immediately tackled. Usually a good set of hands. Hugh Byrne played all of his footy up forward for Echuca in recent seasons. VFL debut last week for the Roos down back. McPherson fights for it, the North Melbourne skipper of last season. Ben Campriali can't get the kick away. Good tackle from Cooper Harvey, who's been deployed across half-back for the Roos this year. Fisher with an exiting kick. 108 games for the Blues. Now in North colours. And Spargo can't get hand to ball. Good tackle there from Charlson.
Been a slow start to Spargo's time at the Roos. Of course, premiership play with the D's. He's an important role to play if he can nail that high, hard-running half-forward position. All the good teams have got 2 or 3 or 4 of them, so he's just going to have to work his way through it and try and find a spot.
Had a concussion in the early part of the pre-season as well, which slowed his progress. 2 big fellas combined in the back 50. Dawson gave it to Goad. Fisher almost turns it over. O'Keefe trying to fashion something at the top of the square. Crashing in was Ison. Hanson Jr. trying to extract it. He almost missed his boot. And Harvey just has to bash it out of there as far as he can. Almost the mark there to Tarrant. Now Mukunda for the Roos. Turned it over. Campriali can't quite measure the kick. And Keese takes it away for North and picks that one off to McPherson.
This is where you'll see North's preferred style of ball movement here. They're just going to hold it up a little bit and let some numbers get ahead of the game. Let some of their forwards get in the front half.
McPherson sends it long and Tarrant takes a good mark. Strong mark. Now sends it to centre half forward. Constanti played every game in the AFL last season, and charging out from the square is George, who can try and do a little bit better than his opening set shot of the game.
How important is that kick from James Tarrant? Just into the middle of the ground, it opens up the whole 50 and you get opens up a leading lane, as we saw just there. Great kick into the middle.
Yeah, great composure. Sometimes you can go too fast. You want to get it in fast, but not too fast that you don't have representation. That was really well worked by the Kangas.
So his first was an absolute shank. How does he size up the second opportunity? Braden George dobs it, and the Roos are on the board.
Nice finish. It's always good to, you get an opportunity early and you let it slip, and sometimes it can just linger and just sit in the back of the mind, particularly if you get another one. So to make the most of that opportunity, he'll be feeling really good about himself. And as you referenced, Bonnie, it was a really nice measured ball movement and lead up from the Kangaroos.
He's an interesting prospect, Braden George, such a powerful athlete, the 26th pick of the 22 draft. He's done 2 ACLs in his time at North Melbourne. Shoulder injury, the lot. Did a hamstring earlier in this pre-season back in January. He just cannot get a clean run at it. But to keep him around, they clearly like what he brings to the table. McPherson with the clearance from the restart. Whitlock was pushed past it. Spargo scooted in there.
Even in that position, then he was out of position and he still created a contest, and now they've got a forward 50 stoppage. Little
ball fake from Charlie Spargo when he got up there as well. Fake to throw it into his opponent, I think, before he gave it back to the umpire. And now Spargo lays over the top of Cookson and gives away the free kick.
He's got plenty of energy this morning.
Might have tucked into a few eggs before he stepped out there. Could be short-lived if that was the case. He dashes after Cookson as well and affects the kick. So that's a nice way to redeem yourself from Charlie Spargo. And here's McLaren Spiteri, who was the late in with River Stevens, as Drew told us earlier, not featuring for this North Melbourne team. Played last week against Essendon. Whitlock hands to it. Lowe couldn't pull it in. Crafty work. Out the back to Fisher. Hooks it around the body. And that one goes right across the face. Can't be pulled in by Chesser.
Should have done better. Zach Fisher on his left foot, preferred side for him. He had plenty of time. Just probably tried to kick it too hard. Tried to kick it over into the timber yard out the back. He just needed to give that about 75% power and it would have swayed straight through the middle.
Reedy controlled it down, deep in defence. Scott comes crashing through. He got grabbed immediately. George taken high, free kick. And this is a much easier assignment for Braden George.
Great start to the game by George.
Went a 52 by the looks of this, so won't be missing this one, Joel.
He's going to be walked to the spot.
quickly just drops his body height there. It's difficult as he kicks it. It can be difficult and sometimes frustrating as the tackler because you know that the player has dropped their body height, and you've only got a moment's notice to try and apply that tackle. And look, at the end of the day, it's a high tackle, but it is frustrating. It's one of the more frustrating things as an opponent when you know the player who's taken possession of the footy has instantly dropped their body height, because it's a deliberate thing to do to draw the free kick. Some people say, well done to you. Others will be frustrated about it.
And as you said, it happens so quickly. So as the tackler, you can't adjust in time.
Yeah, yeah. It's look, it's a free kick every day of the week, but it can be both things at once. It can be frustrating and a free kick.
2 or more on 3 occasions last year. Braden George, well, 2 goals on 3 occasions. He's got 2 in the first 9 minutes of this one on Good Friday. Of course, the Blues and the Roos from Marvel Stadium coming up a little bit later this afternoon before Adelaide and Freo and a big Good Friday doubleheader here on Fox. It's a good start for the Roos, who are the more inexperienced team in this matchup. There's plenty of AFL experience in this Carlton team, Bonnie.
There is. There is 5 players. The most experienced of them all equals 104 AFL games. It's a lot of experience.
Indeed it is. As just pulling that one in, O'Keefe. And it was over the line when he did so. So yeah, the 804 games of experience among the likes of course, Adam Sard, Nick Haynes on that list. Also, Blake Acres, Lockie Fogarty's played. Fogarty's played plenty of AFL football as well. Matt Cottrell's played nearly 75 games for the Blues senior team. Ashton Moyer now off to Sard. Measures the kick beautifully. That's an absolute dart. And Flynn Young was in the right spot.
A little bit of class there from Adam Sard, even though he was on his non-preferred. And look, it can be a source of frustration for Carlton fans sitting at home watching Fox Footy this morning thinking, well, you know, are any of these guys going to help our AFL team? They're going to help your VFL team a lot. So to have Sard and Fogarty and Blake Acres, they're going to add a lot to a VFL group, and hopefully they'll continue to get AFL chances along the way.
Acres only playing a half last week, so they're managing a few on the way through the Blues. This bloke was good last week, kicked 3. He's got an early opportunity here. The lefty, Flynn Young, strikes it and just sneaks it in. First goal for the Blues, and Flynn Young continues his early season form.
That was a much better inside 50 for the Blues. It's 5 to Carlton inside 50s to North Melbourne 4, but the score is not saying that. They just need more inside 50s executed like that. Give themselves and the forwards better options, open up leading lanes so that it can be a controlled set shot.
Some of those experienced players to get their hands on the footy always helps. They just haven't been able to get their hands on the ball much at all. Yet Carlton, it's been the big man Reedy who's been most prolific in the ruck. So the man on screen, Campriali, and Lucas Campriali as well, and some of the experienced AFL players will be behind any type of performance the Blues can have today.
It was Reedy who took it out of the middle again there, JJ, but it immediately bounces back the other way. Here's McPherson. Drives the Kangas into the pocket. Low. Had it dropped in his direction. And he's got a shot from that right forward pocket as well, with the breeze probably helping him.
Now, views have changed on grabbing it out of the ruck, Bonnie. I used to really think any type of territory was a great result, but gee, I don't know if you ever get much from a ruckman grabbing it and hacking it forward. Often it's turned over, as we saw, and it goes back with interest.
Well, you'd know this as a forward. Sometimes you're always looking to create, so you're not actually ready for the quick ball in.
Yep.
Ollie Lowe lines up his set shot. Misses that one to the near side. Kicked a couple in their round 4 matchup last year between these two teams. So it was a 2-point game in round 4 when they met last year, and a 1-point game in round 13 when these two teams went head-to-head.
Hopefully we get one similar here.
Fingers crossed. As a turnover off the kick-in, Harry Charleston's put it in the direction of Thompson Dow.
Unlucky not to still be on Richmond's list, I think, Thompson Dow. I prefer him as an athlete to Paddy. He's a little bit more range. He's got a little bit more athleticism. he had some opportunities in and out of Richmond's team. So he's still got, certainly, I would think, AFL aspirations. And I think there's an AFL player in there somewhere.
Played 11 games last year for the Tigers, did Thompson Dow. Just a pretty tough assignment in greasy conditions early in this one. And he left it narrow. The Roos generating plenty of opportunities. Good Swan Hill boy as well. JJ, up your neck of the woods.
Yes, yeah, the boys have represented the town well. But, yeah, I think he... and that's why you try and find a really good VFL home to continue what you hope is an AFL career, because he's still a young man.
Plenty of mid-season draftees out there, the likes of Rob Hanson, of course. Flynn Young, who kicked that last goal for Carlton, was a mid-season draftee too, so it's added another dimension to the careers of many. Blues with the clearance this time. Reedy again controlled it down out of the ruck. Fogarty scoops it up. Beautiful delivery, and here's Flynn Young once more.
Good movement again. Carlton fans will be happy to see Lockie Fogarty use the ball with a little bit of class. That's, you know, clearly he works his tail off, he tackles, he chases, he harasses, and he gives everything he's got to the team. But just finishing his work hasn't been his strong suit. So good to see a little bit of class there going inside forward 50. And Flynn Young, Bonnie, he's got all the space in the world. It's a nice wide open 50 for him.
It is, and he's got great timing too.
He does, yeah. Bit of Jack Gunston about him.
It's a good person to have a little trade of. I like the way that he kicks the footy, particularly that one fading right to left and striking the left hand upright. So he's got the Blues' entire score as Flynn Young early in this one. 15 gone in the opening term. Whitlock crashed the pack, couldn't take it with him. Chesser got dragged down. Good tackle from Keast.
And a tough start to Chesser's Carlton career. A couple of ordinary games at AFL level, and just that little moment there. It's a long game. He's a good runner. He's a worker. Going to play midfield and wing, so hopefully he can build into the game. And he's a good size, a good-looking athlete, so hopefully he can have a big day today and just knock on the door for AFL selection next week.
It's Billy Wilson in Sam Doherty's old number 15. Third season on Carlton's list now for Wilson. They play on across halfback. Charlson now the link-up hand pass with Darcy Hogg, son of Carlton Premiership player Matthew. Free kick given away by Van Dam there. It'll go the way of Cottrell. He returned to footy off injury last week. Drives the kick deep. Hugh Byrne in front spot. And he pulls it in.
Despite that entry, that was a much better build-up by the Blues, finding some uncontested possession chains, which they haven't been able to at the start of this game.
Played in a Chuka Premiership under Andrew Walker, did Hugh Byrne. Of course, all eyes will be on that part of the world for Carlton fans this year, with his young bloke going to be right at the heart of the year's national draft. Plenty of expectation about what Cody might be able to produce.
Yeah, well, they're not afraid to put some expectations on young draft picks, high-end draft picks at Carlton.
They don't mind a saviour, that particular footy club. Low kicks inside the 50. Good mark to Sammartino. Back with the flight. Played under Damien Trustlove at Banyul last year. Now to Charlson. He got run down by Constanti. That's the kind of pressure that they need him to provide. We'll work it out to Tucker. 10 seasons in the AFL system for Darcy Tucker. 3 of those with North Melbourne after he crossed from Freo. So another familiar face. Works his way onto his left boot. Rising high was Moyer. We know how much talent this young man possesses. Just hasn't been able to put it all together. Kicks up toward half forward. Cottrell's got a vacant 50. He got pushed toward the boundary. Tried to fashion the kick to the pocket. And coming back the other way, Spiteri worked it out nicely. Byrne had a piece of it. It spilled away through the hands of Fairley. Byrne has another go and caught holding the ball.
Good system defensively there behind the footy for the Kangaroos, even though they eventually turn it back over. That's something I think most of us have been critical of them at AFL level, and you see a lot of what the AFL wants to do at VFL, and early on they've defended quite well.
Cooks it inside 50. Moyer socketed out of fresh air. And then spinning and trying to hook that one back toward goal was Darcy Hogg.
It seems like they're reading and reacting quite quickly and then able to have a loose somewhere to be able to come through and intercept at the moment.
Yeah, I think the best teams these days are able to generate a +1 or a loose, not necessarily by having a 7th defender. They just find a way where your wingers and your half forwards come up and help and assist, or you play an extra around the footy and you allow someone to be a drop-off. The best teams find a way to get some support and some stability behind the ball.
Big fist through that footy by Dane Harvey up on the wing. Keast got dragged down. Good tackling pressure there from Tom Evans. Nathan Keast, or Matt Keast, appeals for a free.
Keen to watch Moyer closely today. Not entirely sure why he's not at AFL level in terms of the talent, whether it's his work rate, does he get up and back well enough? He's clearly a bit of an in-between size. He can do the freakish, but does he do the basics? Does he work hard enough? It'll be good to see him in action.
Tucker, free kick and advantage, and their one-man forward line continues. Flynn Young's on the end of it again. He passes it off this time, and Hogg takes the mark. 25 out dead in front. Having had the last shot with a snap around the body, this should be a far easier assignment for Darcy Hogg. 7 goals, 9 from his 18 games last season. Didn't play last week, back into the team this week. There's a look at the assignment. Up toward that pool end. Hogg strikes it cleanly and scores a level in the early going here at Arden Street.
Flynn Young now has a friend in the scoring department with him, but his ability to spot the open space and then to allow his teammate then to work into that was a fabulous kick.
It was. Carlton aren't necessarily a huge forward line, so they're going to rely a lot on their ball movement and their system and working together, and that's what the best forward lines do. They make each other better, and the system allows each individual to have their moment. So some good passages of play from Carlton. Certainly the Kangas dominated the first 10 or 12 minutes, but Blues have bounced back well, and Big Reedy attempting to grab it out of the ruck again.
He's been dominant in there, has Liam Reedy. Thompson Dow smashes North inside, deep, looking for a target there. Tarrant got hands to it, couldn't take it. Charlson slides in. Carlton working ferociously in defence to try and clear. Wilson and Ben Campriale will link up. That's audacious from Wilson to go the bounce in these slippery conditions. It worked out. He finds Young, who's a long way from home this time, inside the 50, drops it toward Moyer, a bit of holding on, and it'll go to North Melbourne and Burn.
Flynn Young is finding himself in so much space to do anything he wants, really.
His timing is just really good, and replay here. This is one where Moyer will have a look at it from behind the goals on Monday, and could I have hit up at the ball? Could I have lengthened a bit earlier? Why was I in a contest that allowed me to eventually give away a free kick when we moved the ball with such speed and such little pressure? He probably should have done his work a little bit earlier, or done something a little bit different to given himself an easier opportunity to get on the end of it.
Good stuff there from Chesser to close with some intent and force the stoppage. North with the first 2, Carlton with the next 2 in the game. Big Good Friday footy here on Fox. These 2 AFL teams going at it this afternoon, and then Adelaide and Freo this evening from Adelaide Oval.
Should be an absolute cracker tonight. Both games, really. Looking forward to watching 8 quarters of footy on the couch a little bit later on, but Fremantle and Adelaide sort of comes at the perfect time for both teams, I think. They're both needing a bit of a temperature test.
So Carlton coach Damien Truslove watching on the sideline. His side being able to steady after the early going here. Reedy and Dawson this time in ruck. Tucker, kick was smothered, bounced back to Ben Campriale. Now off to the dash of Sard. Tucker works his way out and then finds a target at left half forward. Fogarty's got all the options inside 50. And worked under that one was Moyer, illegally by Burn.
gets the free kick. Keen to see it again, whether he was just maybe moved under the footy a little bit too easily, but gets himself an opportunity. What do you think, Bonnie? He's probably just out of position, gives his back to the defender, but enough
look,
in it?
I don't think there's enough in it. I think he did get eased under a little bit too easily.
Moyer around the body. He misses that one near side. Of course, we know his ambidextrous nature. He kicks equally well with both feet. Always has. I think back to his bottom age under-18 year, and he was right up there with the best in the country in terms of a prospect. It's a poor exiting kick there from Hansen Jr. He's turned it over. Akers to Lucas Campriali.
Not enough movement here from Carlton on the shorts. You'd see Brisbane just players moving left, right and centre there.
Dropping the mark in the end was Fairley. Hansen's handball backward. Fogarty whipping it over his head. That's a really nice finish. And the goal kick by Tom Evans. Carlton in front for the first time.
That might be just their MO today. Get the ball on the ground and let the smalls do the work.
Yeah, you're spot on. It could be, particularly with the shower of rain we had to start the game. Maybe it is just let's get it in there. But the better teams around the competition, certainly at AFL level, and as we've mentioned, the VFL teams are going to try and play the game in the same fashion. You want to work the little channels beside the standing man on the mark, and it just wasn't a lot of movement from Carlton. But as you say, it might have been a decision. Let's get it in. Let's get it to ground level. We've got a lot of dangerous smalls. We've got a lot of dangerous players who can either impact at ground level or put pressure on. And Tom Evans kicked a pretty clever goal.
Last 3 in the game now for the Blues. Out by 7 points. And another clearance. Reedy starting things once more. Van Dam to Hansen. Needs to be cleaner this time with the exit. Kicks long to a one-on-one. Coming in late there was Sard. Quite sure how he didn't give away a free kick. Haynes on hands and knees. Ben Campriali cuts it through the middle.
Oh,
Moyer, he's duffed the chip there through the centre of the ground. Spargo goes headlong into Sard. It's a free kick one way. Spargo's almost lost the headband. Now he enters the 50. Back there was Harvey. Goad picks it up. The big fella had a long way to go down. George with a fancy little step and a brilliant snap.
what a finish. What a finish. Nice footwork as well, and able to get involved in the game in various ways, and that was incredibly impressive. The ability to just stay calm under immense pressure. Bang, little step. There you go. As good as that. That's a really, really nice finish.
So Braden George has got all 3 of North Melbourne's goals.
This is where you've got to stay in the moment. As a forward, you've got 3 approaching quarter time. You're thinking, geez, I might be in for a 7 or an 8 or a 9. And the next thing you think, next thing you realise, you haven't kicked any more for the game. So good challenge for him to stay in the moment and keep doing exactly what he's doing.
A couple of very astute goal kickers alongside me, and Josh Jenkins and Bonnie Toogood. Keast dragged down by Reedy. It's not a particularly enviable position. Spargo's kick across the centre circles. Ricochets back to McPherson, who was the original kicker of the footy, now to Spargo. Head over at type stuff from Prout, and then dragged down. Blake Acres was just a little bit slow, and guess who? Of course it was Braden George. He's kicked 2 from the goal square, one from 35 out. Now he goes, 60 out. Yeah, I like my chances.
As I said, Bonnie, when you get 3, you think 7 or 8. So he thinks, I think if he gets it in the front half of the ground at the moment, he's going to have a ping.
When you're hot, you're hot. So this is the ultimate heat check here from Braden George. Going to have a dart from outside the 50. He's kicked all 3 for North Melbourne so far. It looks pretty good. It looks very good. And Braden George is having a great Friday.
The epitome of staying in the moment. You said it, Josh. You make sure he stays in the moment. And what did he do? He had good footwork. He was applying pressure like you love your forwards to do. And then when you're hot, you're hot. You got confidence, you're walking above the ground, and you have a ping from 60 out.
Yeah, that was impressive. But look at that, 1 foot inside the centre square. And that is a player with supreme confidence, and as he should, because tell you what, 4 goals walking into quarter time, you can look around and say, well, boys, I'm doing my bit. Feel free to come along with me.
Start doing the simple maths. Might get 12.
We thought Flynn Young was a one-man forward line at the other end. Braden George said, hold my beer.
It's great for a young man who has suffered injuries and long-term injuries to, I mean, not only remind himself, but remind everyone else that there's a genuine talent inside that body despite the injuries.
McPherson now for the Roos. Kicks inside the 50. Sort of out toward George. Whitlock got there. Constanti chases it down. He's quickly wrapped up by Chesser.
This has been a good wrestle of momentum by North. They had it in the first 10 minutes of the game. They lost it there, and Carlton were able to get it, and now they've been able to finish this quarter off strongly.
They kicked the first 2. Carlton with the middle 3. North have closed with the next 2. They lead by 5.
Yeah, well, let's hope the AFL game is similar to this. It's been a super first quarter of footy. A lot of the AFL listed players have been influential, particularly Reedy in the ruck. Still want to get the net meters gained on his possessions out of the ruck, though. I'm a big watch on that.
Fisher, high up and under, and that's going to bring some leaves and some water droplets out of that tree. So hopefully the spectators have the umbrellas at the ready. Young girl there handing the footy back. Pretty pleased with the start to her Easter weekend. Dawson off the pack for the Roos. Harvey. Spiteri. Now Constanti and Sard go into battle. And it's drawn to a close by the tackle of Adam Sard, who started the season in the AFL team. Played his first VFL action. Damien Truslove, his coach, thought since back in the Coburg days before he got picked up to AFL level last week. And Lucas Campriali closes the quarter. What a quarter it was. All 4 to Braden George for North. The Blues hit the front in the middle part of that term. It's been a very exciting start to Good Friday footy here at Arden Street. The Roos by 5. Well, you'd go a long way to find a North Melbourne fan who doesn't already love George. They might have another one that's caught their eye this morning. Braden George with all 4 goals for the Kangaroos. And he has been a real focal point up forward for them early in this contest. They lead by 5 points at quarter time. There's Michael Voss watching proceedings. Of course, the Blues and the Roos in action in the Super Clash this afternoon at Marvel Stadium. You don't have to go anywhere. You will see that right here on Fox a little bit later today. Bonnie Toogood and Josh Jenkins running the rule over everything this morning. It was a quarter of wild fluctuations, JJ, but it's been played in pretty good intensity thus far.
Absolutely. It's been very entertaining. We've seen both teams try and play a specific style, and I think the other part to add to Michael Voss's presence at the game, it's always good, Bonnie, as a player at VFL level, always great to see your AFL coaches and your AFL teammates making the effort to come along and showing some interest in what you're doing, and I don't think there's anything like having your actual AFL coach there watching you go about it. So good to see Vossi there in the house.
Indeed it is, just keeping an eye on who's doing what at the next level before he gets set to go. And we talked about the influence of Liam Reedy in that opening term. Bonnie, I mean, it's an interesting sort of chess battle, the way that he's dominating in the ruck, but the way that Carlton haven't necessarily been able to take advantage of that.
He is dominating the ruck, and he is taking it out of the ruck very regularly, but his disposal efficiency is only 29%. And we spoke about it in the first quarter. It seems that as soon as he takes it out of the ruck, he kicks it forward, but North Melbourne are reacting and setting up for it, and it tends not to be very successful for Carlton at the moment.
Yeah, just 1 of his 6 kicks has been effective, so they're not getting much from it. I just wonder, he's clearly got physical dominance over his opponents at the Kangas in go in particular, whether he can continue to grab it out of the ruck if he chooses to, but maybe look to use your legs, take a couple of steps and try and find a handball to a midfielder in centre bounce, because in the centre square you've got so much space. There's actually a lot of space, probably the most spacious area of the ground at any one time in an AFL game. So if you can do that rather than grabbing it and hacking it forward, I think the Blues will get a lot more for it.
Let's get the Carlton side of things, Drews, with Damien Truslove.
Thank you, Joel. Entertaining start, Damien. What were your main takeouts from the first quarter?
Yeah, we were happy with our start, Drew, just because our last few weeks we've been slow to start. So we were happy with our contest and territory. And we think there's some good opportunities when we get our ball on our hands going forward.
Pretty dominant start in the ruck from Liam Reedy. So how do you make the most of his dominance in the middle and make sure you're getting the best out of him?
Yeah, he's been good at taking territory. So we want him to be able to, when he gets the ball, to go forward, and then we can defend from behind that. And he's been outstanding.
Just really quickly, 4 goals from Braden George. How do you shut down the hot hand?
Yeah, we've made a couple of adjustments there. He started really well. So we'll tighten up a bit on him, and hopefully we can take away his dominance.
Thanks, Damien. Good luck.
Thanks, Drew.
All 4 in that opening term for Braden George and North Melbourne. He had the opening set shot that went out of bounds on the full, and that might have shaken his confidence. But from there, it was absolutely all things coming up Braden George.
Just needed a cider.
Yep, just needed to get the eye in, that is for sure. And then had a couple from right in close, and the big bomb to end the opening term. Dawson into the ruck for North Melbourne. He rises above Reedy to start this second term. Keast immediately goes to work. Dawson skies it into the centre square. Akers sat under it for an eternity. Fogarty, Charlson and Sard link up by hand. Sard pounds it forward. Charging up again is Young. He's been excellent early for the Blues. Got the kick away. Akers along the boundary line. Underground inverse torpedo of a thing that's run across and out by Hardiman.
It's good work rate from Akers. That's his role. He's a winger, has been across his career at various different clubs, and even there he was able to stand under that high ball from the centre bounce and then work forward and get on the end of it.
Young again, influential. Cottrell had to go with the front handball in the end. Tucker around the body. He puts that across the face. $20 in a goal last week for Darcy Tucker in that close loss to Williamstown. Awkward kick back into play. Cottrell's picked that off easily. And now a chance for Jack Ison.
They've had a few of those today, kicking it out from a point and just miss kicking it into a really dangerous spot. I understand the decision making and how much that kick can open up the ground, but you've got to make sure, particularly in D50, that you hit those.
Now Ison's got the opportunity. Kick 2 last week, the rookie, 47th pick in the 2025 draft out of the Oakley Chargers. The young lefty has put that one through and put the Blues back on top.
Just interesting, a kick out. I mean, that's why in my view, kick out should be a stat, because if you do that, it needs to be recorded against. But a stationary target, so again, we're talking in the first quarter about Carlton's lack of movement. So North Melbourne clearly from a kick in there looking to use the shorts, but all the targets, they're almost standing at gully, just on their heels, looking to receive the ball without moving into the footy. And now that ball went over the top, and it may have done so anyway, but at least if you're on the move as a receiver, you can make an adjustment. Very hard to adjust to a miskicked footy if you're on your heels.
A couple of lead changes early in this one, hopefully setting the table for what's to come this afternoon. McPherson almost for Haynes, tried to pull it in with 1 minute. Sard playing soccer with it back toward his defensive goal. Spargo's got on the clamps on that footy. Sard goes back in and mops up. Charlson with a neat exit. And then that's bashed across the boundary line. And it was Cooper Harvey who turned the kick in at the other end over. So he wanted to rush up there and make amends.
Like the look of Wilson for Carlton off half-back. He's just going to have that challenge. You think about a John Noble size. At some stage, you're going to be asked to defend. He doesn't have much size, so he's going to have to get crafty in terms of avoiding some of those one-on-ones.
Reedy dragged down by Dawson. And a free kick going against Ben Campriali. Thompson Dow. Comes a long way around his mark. Umpires let that play out. Here's the setup. Whitlock from the back. It's punched away. North have got the numbers. Spargo rising up. Can't take it with him. McPherson. And now Dow worked himself into trouble. Got caught. He is gone. Terrific tackle from the goal kicker, Jack Ison.
It's good to see from him. He's a nice athlete. It was a nice strike of the footy for his recent goal. So being able to get up and back, working hard.
Then Campriali to Wilson, to Tucker, inside the 50. And Flynn Young again presenting up strongly.
He's just got really great timing. His ability to tick back at the football when the kicker is ready. It's so hard to defend that. I do think that North are giving him a little bit too much space and playing him too back shoulder. Maybe now that he's got a few hit-up leads, do you change how you defend on him?
Yeah, potentially stand in front of him and force him to have the ball kicked out the back. I tell you, the Carlton fans watching Fox at home, they'll be hoping for some of that ball movement this afternoon. That was really sharp from the Blues.
We've seen Flynn Young's craft already. Kick the opener for the Blues. How's the finish here? It is exactly as he needed it to be. And the Blues start this second term with back-to-back goals.
Beautiful finish from him. Not always an easy shot from there, and it's just able to get that ball to hold its line. So, and that's the other element is, can you take your chances? And particularly when forwards are out of form, that's an important thing as well, Bonnie. Now, this player's in great form, Flynn Young, but you've got to make the most of your opportunities. There's nothing worse than playing what should be a really good game and ending the game with 2 goals, 3 versus, you know, kicking 3, 4 or 5 goals. And certainly Flynn Young is well on his way today.
I do think Carlton look most damaging when they're moving the ball like that off half-back, and it goes back to the storyline that we've been talking with Liam Reid. If he gets, you know, his mids involved in time and space, just like we see now, they get a better entry inside forward 50.
You've talked it into existence there, Bon. As the kick evades Young this time. That was a great example of exactly what Reedy might be able to do.
Well, you get the deep entry because of that. Because he handballs it to a player on the move, you get a deep entry and a forward 50 stoppage versus a shallow entry and a rebound, which is what we saw a lot in the first quarter.
Reedy controls this one down with the offhand. And the ball's just camped underneath there. No one can pull it away. Pat Fairley into this North Melbourne team. Came off in the first 30 seconds last week with a shoulder injury and able to grind his way through that game. He got the handball on the way out there, did Fairley. Exiting kick, pulled in by Sard. So the Blues can set up another opportunity. Sard flares the kick wide. Chesses looking for something. He had Young in the pocket, goes to a more central spot. Reedy had the post up there on Dawson. Hansen picked it off and he can repel for the Roos.
Always hard to tell whether that was the kicker's fault or the key forward's fault for not being in the right spot. The key forward, I think it was Hudson O'Keefe, was standing at the back waving his arms, kick it further, but that might have been the plan, to kick it a little bit shorter and a little bit more deliberately.
Xavier Bammett here on the wing. Up to Spargo. Now to George with 4 goals in that opening term. Lays this one off. Scott from the back. Monahan had the position in front. Had the arm chop, no free kick. Now nervous moments for the Blues. Tucker in defence. They'll be good enough to work this out through Hogg. Chesser. Now Lucas Camporeale can fashion the hand pass over the top. A little bit of pressure applied on Cookson. They move the footy swiftly again, the Blues. Monahan with the fend off, and then the awkward kick rumbles its way to half forward where O'Keefe just crashes through a couple. Fogarty goes in. Evans, Young on the boundary line. Hooks his kick back to the goal square. Nick Haynes operating in unfamiliar territory and looks like it.
Yes. He's been a very good player for a very, very long time, particularly when he was at GWS, but he had a great season for the Blues. But he looked a bit lost there, Bonnie, I must say.
He did. His eyes probably lit up and was like, oh, I might be running into an open goal here. But, you know, the Sharon loves to bounce in all sorts of different directions.
Just didn't know what to do at that particular end of the ground. Tucker's grabbed by Fairley, not going anywhere. So, first 2 goals of this second term to the Blues. They've all come in a run so far in the game. North with the first 2, Carlton with the next 3. North then kicked 2 in a row. And the Blues have answered with 2 consecutively. Spargo sits under the high ball comfortably. Scott's been quiet. Hand pass set. Hansen Jr. a task. He got pushed off it. Umpire said that wasn't okay.
Just 2 disposals for Scott, so you're right, Joel. He's been very quiet out on this near side wing.
A couple of times top 3 best and fairest for the Roos. If you go back a few seasons, Bailey Scott, he's really struggled in the last 18 months to find his way back into that senior team. Haynes just the distance to Hogg. This is where they've been effective so far, Carlton. As Bonnie said, that transition play from half back. Oh, not quite on that occasion. Hogg towed the kick straight to Lowe. Lowe will get a chance from the pocket here to size things up. Looking for the option in Spargo. Harvey was there to take it away from him. Still the ball in dispute. Now it'll open up. Give it to George. Why not? He's got 4 already. Can't free himself that time. And well done from Evans to provide the support and finds the outlet in Akers.
George does look like the only likely option for them at the moment. Inside 50, really need the other forwards for North to pick it up a little bit and give him a little bit more support and some more options.
Look at the overlap here from the Blues. Lucas Camporeale to Akers. They've got 2 to pick from. Goad did well to knock it away from O'Keefe. They've got the support inside the defensive 50. Van Dam, McPherson. Now the exit to Mukunda. Liam Gather product across half-back for North Melbourne. First year at Arden Street for him. George takes it off the pack, feeds the hand pass forward to Spargo, who his eyes light up, drops it off to Lowe, and the Roos go end to end, and Lowe pulls them back within a couple of points.
Well, if you're going to go and impact aerially, which Nick Haynes and 1 or 2 others attempted to do at about half back, or just shy of, you've got to impact, and that was the issue. This ball was kicked to a contest. Haynes goes up and decides to try and mark it. His opponent stays down, so risk and reward, because if Haynes marks that footy, the message is going out, you've got to fly if Haynes flies. But decision to mark it, didn't mark it, ball hit the ground, and Carlton stood no chance from that moment on.
Ollie Lowe with the Roos first of his second term. Margin back to 2. 3 lead changes in the game already. Goad and O'Keefe this time in ruck. Goad's first real hit out of the season after a pre-season injury. Ben Campriali tumbles the kick to full forward. Burns spinning through, got the handball away, straight into a very pressurised area. Kangas defenders are up to the task. Ferguson had a couple of options. He floated the hand pass to Spiteri, who fumbled it away immediately, and then Hogg jumped on him. Umpire says, I'll have it.
McPherson has been pivotal in this game. 14 disposals, 5 inside 50s, 4 clearances. His work rate is super impressive, and his ability to get contest to contest and provide an option just like we're seeing here has been pivotal for North.
It's only early, Bon. You're okay. McPherson inside, who takes it away, started the chain, and now Whitlock gets the opportunity. And Matt Whitlock, whose brother Jack played well last week at AFL level for Port Adelaide. This young man kicked 2 goals, 1 last Sunday. 2 games in the AFL last season in round 5 and round 24.
It's a developing body. You have a look at him, his arms and legs are slowly but surely getting bigger and stronger. He's still got a ways to go. He's jumped at the footy well a couple of times, so it'd be good to see him finish here.
Just inside the arc. Kick fades. Back to a 1-point game. Both the Whitlock twins at around that 200-centimetre mark. Opposing prospects coming out of Shepparton a couple of years ago. Goad did well to keep that alive for the Roos. Scott made Hardiman work. Now they've given up a fair bit of territory here to Mukunda. He's going to try and cede some more. Copped a little bit of afters too, and he wasn't particularly happy with it from Reedy. Giving away a fair bit of size going back for the secondary fight there. Hugo Mukunda. Now Fisher. Neat little pass over the top. Noblet. Spiteri can try and set up another North Melbourne entry up toward the front half. Noblet, one of 3 ins for the Roos today. Make it 4 with the late out of River Stevens. And George was the target of the kick again and couldn't latch onto it.
Interesting period of the game here, isn't it? It's been sort of ebbs and flows. Both teams have had the run of the game and almost locked away, 1 point the margin. So sort of midway, just further than midway through this second term, it's going to be an interesting phase as we approach half-time.
Charlson chases it toward the boundary line. Spargo does his level best to keep it in.
When the game seems to get away from North, they go back to that composed ball movement every time and work their way up over halfway to get a better look inside 50.
So 50's pretty even thus far in the game. Just +1 the way of Carlton. Just the opportunity coming here for North.
Yeah, just a little shove in the back. It wasn't much in it, more of a timing thing from Reedy. I mean, that's the risk when you know you've got such physical dominance and so much more strength than your opponent. You can sometimes get a little bit lazy with your technique and just decide to bench press your opponent out of the way.
It's James Tarrant, who kicked 15 goals last season. Lines this one up. Kick is there. And the Kangas are back in front after they kick 2 on the hop. So James Tarrant able to line that one up. Here's that little bit of byplay between Liam Reedy and Hugo Mikunda.
In the moment, I thought we just missed. There was a little bump there from Reedy after we cut away there. I think Reedy might have a little bit of an issue, but it was a ruck free kick. He's got two issues because he might have one on Monday night, but he's got another for giving up that free kick in the ruck. So it's one that he didn't need to give away, and he'll be frustrated because of it. So
just watch far left of screen here. Oh,
yeah, there you go.
Yep.
So I reckon
that's trouble.
Yeah, and look, the Kangaroos player got straight up, but I think that's trouble.
And he clearly wasn't happy with the treatment either, Mikunda, because despite giving away a fair bit of size, he went back and wanted to have a word to Liam Reedy.
And it was the size that probably got Reedy in strife too.
O'Keefe this time wanted to wrestle with Goad. Somehow got a handball away, sort of flipped it up to himself and then hit it with the back of his wrist. Look at Taylor Goad. He's an explosive athlete, the big fella. Beautiful delivery inside the forward 50 from Spiteri.
Great hands.
Whitlock.
Yeah, great hands from Whitlock there.
It's like a vice. Hansen put it out in the path of Spargo, tried to keep it alive. Ball bounced favourably for him. He worked it out beautifully to find Constanti.
Look, I don't think he slipped on purpose, but that was great craft. Great smarts, the ball staying in play and then able to keep his composure and kick it in the area for his forward.
So Jacob Constanti in the AFL team early in the season. Emergency last week, back in the VFL this week, and on the goal kickers list. And now the Roos have strung 3 in a row together.
Well, what a game we've got. It's just each team taking turns of dominating the play, and you're spot on. It was really sharp work, Bonnie, from Spargo. And Constanti, I mean, Joel, you referenced the fact he played every game last year. And I can recall interviewing Xavier Clark and asking him about Constanti. He was getting a game ahead of Dersma and Zane Dersma, and you got to think about which one's which these days with 3 in the AFL. But it was more of a work rate thing. Constanti was doing all the hard work, doing all the defensive stuff, and now I think that Dersma's having such an impact at AFL level. Constanti's now got to come back to VFL level and work on his offensive game.
Of course, they drafted young Lucky Daviston as well to try and go and do that role. Here's a powerful mark from Tarrant for the Kangas.
Really nice mark. Great jump up at the footy and great overhead mark. So you'd love to see Tarrant go back and kick another. He's an impressive size, an impressive athlete, clearly.
26-year-old, 197 centimetres, so another tall option they've got. 13 games last season for the Roos. Already got one to his name. He absolutely launches into that. Won't have the carry as it just held up in the breeze.
Love to see a 26-year-old Tarrant. I mean, the amount of I guess improved financial offers he could get going and playing local footy and playing in the suburbs somewhere. It's great to see those guys who are 25, 26, 27 sticking at it, playing VFL footy, playing the second best standard of footy in the country versus, you know, going and playing local footy.
Puts his head over it here too. Does Tarrant, lays the tackle on Sard. Charlie Spargo, or in fact Darcy McPherson, had to reach up a fair way to give him a little pat on the head then. Going the ruck against O'Keefe. O'Keefe won it down. Constanti with a brilliant bit of roving.
There you go, you breathe that one into existence too, Josh, with working, coming to VFL level and working on his offensive craft. That is just great timing, great positioning and attacking the ball at speed. It's so hard to defend that.
He just got on the fly, and it's always difficult as an opposition or as a defensive ruckman there because you don't want to hit it into the corridor, you don't want to hit the ball too far from contest. So effectively everyone knows where Carlton want to hit that ball, and Constanti was the one able to hit it at speed. Looked a little bit like Zach Bailey from last night at the Gabba, able to hit a contest at speed, take the ball cleanly. That's the biggest key in the game. I think you looked at the best players last night, Will Ashcroft, Lockie Neal. They don't fumble. And if you do fumble, you don't get a second chance very often to make amends.
Didn't get an opportunity at the Swans while he was there. Jacob Constanti, he had plenty of them with North Melbourne, making the most of his VFL chance today. Kangaroos are dominating at the moment. 4 in a row, and they are owning territory. Wilson had it and lost it. Picked up by Bammett, who just works his way through. What about the power and the sheer force of Xavier Bammett? And the Roos have got 5 on the bounce.
They are on fire. They can do nothing wrong. And that was just a little bit of power. Talk about AFL comparisons. A little bit of prime Jordan De Goey about that. Just able to shake a few tackles and swivel the hips and keep driving the legs as well. That's the key element here. Just at no stage does he allow his legs to stop, and that's what effectively in the end, Bonnie, allows him to get boot on ball. That was a great finish.
It's so important. Something I couldn't emphasise enough is that ability to continue to drive your legs through contests. And he was physical. He was, as you said, shimmying his arms and just kept fighting and fighting. But driving those legs was so important.
What a burst this has been from North Melbourne. Kicked their first of the quarter at the 11-minute mark. And in 11 minutes, they've got all 5. Another entry for them. Low. Can't mark it after Keast roosted it inside the 50. And now the Blues can just try and take the air out of the footy and get some territory back.
Well, no risk of a second half capitulation from Carlton, because it's been a late second quarter capitulation where it's been all front half. I've loved the work of Dawson in the ruck at centre bounce. He can really explode up in the air. So keen to see him improve and continue to play in that area of the ground.
Fisher at half-back. We saw Michael Voss here at quarter time. Do you reckon he just made a quiet exit? And he thought, no, I've seen this before. I'll see you later, guys.
Oh, who'd be a coach? I think he said that himself last
Yes.
week, didn't he? Who'd be a coach?
Yep.
Well, I've never been a coach, but who would be a coach?
Of course, the Blues will be in action this afternoon against the Kangas at Marvel for the Super Clash. You'll see that right here on Fox before Adelaide and Freo. So an intriguing Good Friday of footy. More VFL on your screens tomorrow with Port Melbourne and Sydney. From North Port Oval, Cooper Harvey stepping his way through at half-back for the Roos. It's just been, they have taken this away from Carlton in an almighty hurry in this second term. The Blues kicked the first 2 of the quarter. The Roos have got the next 5, and another chance here. Whitlock worked his way to the front. He couldn't take the mark. Desperate stuff in defence from Harvey. Prout. Handball almost turned over. Clever flick on from Fisher. Bammett kicked the last. He gets back onto his left boot, retreats a little bit to Keast. He's got all the options there for his taking. Whitlock in the pocket. In front of that was Tarrant.
Great mark. Great bravery going back, not really knowing at all what's coming his way. Whitlock was trying to make amends for dropping the previous one, but Tarrant's been super impressive. He's presented at the ball beautifully. He's given himself a couple of different opportunities. He's already hit the scoreboard himself and playing quite a good game of footy.
This for a 6-goal second term for the Kangaroos. Tarrant misses.
It's been really pleasing to see James Tarrant and as well as Matt Whitlock just getting themselves involved ahead of the football. It was all on Georgia's shoulders in the first quarter, but that's definitely shifted, and Blues came into this quarter paying a bit more attention to George, but that's then opened up for Tarrant and Whitlock to get themselves involved, and they've certainly done that.
It looks like Jack Sematino's been the one to take up the battle with Braden George, who, as Bonnie alluded to, kicked 4 in the opening term, all 4 for North Melbourne. Another deep entry for the Kangaroos. Haynes had it go through his hand. Tarrant did some nice work at ground level. Akers. The Blues can try and work their way out of trouble. Cookson's a long way from home. He got caught in the McPherson tackle.
Just a little bit off his game, Sard. He's been off his game for a little while. Doesn't look to trust his body. I know he's had some hamstring injuries. Free kick there against Big Goad. But just doesn't trust himself, doesn't try and take many players on anymore, and doesn't go for those around the corner kicks as much. So it'd be great to see him get back to his best. Carlton dearly needs some ball movement and some bravery out of their back half.
Real dare and dash. We saw Rob Monaghan getting some treatment on the boundary a couple of moments ago as Spiteri is pushed across by Jack Ison. Clarence Spiteri again, the late in. If you're just joining us, no River Stevens out there for North Melbourne. There's the Irishman, Rob Monaghan. He's getting that hip worked on. He was involved in a big collision earlier in the quarter. Third season at the Blues for the Category B rookie. Now they've got a chance to open things up. Charlson, beautiful kick inside the 50. That's an absolute dart onto the chest of Fogarty.
You can hear a voice in the background saying, take territory, which I can only presume was a Carlton coach because of the fact they were in possession of the ball. And I'm thinking to myself, allow them to do exactly what they did versus when you've got one single point of view of just taking territory, and you can sometimes take away from what we saw there in terms of a chain of ball movement.
Bit more midfield for Lockie Fogarty last week. Kicked a goal. He straightens up here, and he answers back for the Blues. So after 5 in a row for the Kangas, Carlton are back on the board.
We do love to overcomplicate this game, but I do agree in the sense that sometimes territory just is too easy to defend, and North has been able to do that and repel off half back. But when you're able to change lanes and open up your forward 50 for your forwards or your key players to move into, it's just a much better look and a more exciting game to play. Especially
if you think about Carlton's forward line at AFL level. I mean, it's a little bit more potent here at VFL level with some of the players they've got, but it needs as much quality supply as it can get. It's not a forward line where you can just say, well, just kick it in there and we'll just do the rest. So, to have that, I understand the need to take territory, but I think if you can get quality entries, good things will happen.
Reedy just smashes it inside the arc again. Off hands, a chance for Evans. And that one will not come back. He's put that just about into the timber yard. Hardiman trying to sort out his options. No one on the mark. Oh, he made it really dangerous there for Hanson Jr. And just casually lopes out of defence and finds Van Dam. The Tassie boy from South Launceston. He turns it over looking for Spargo. Dane Harvey stands in the way. Sends the Blues back into attack. Impressive attack on the ball from O'Keefe. Flynn Young couldn't find a target with the hand pass. Won it back for the Blues. Look at a fend off on Spargo. And the fleet of foot to step around quite a few Kangaroos. Give away some considerable territory. Now Logan Prowse picks Ison out all alone. It was a bit of ISO ball inside 50 for the Blues, and he has missed from point blank range.
Opportunity gone, missing drop mark, and then...
Yeah. I think he went with the wrong snap. He went with the snap. It should have been the banana or the check side there. He's left one on the table for sure.
Had 5 in a row kicked against them in the middle of the quarter, the Blues. They were able to peg one back. They would have loved that going into half-time. Again, they go into retreat mode. Akers and Wilson combine. Harvey reaches over the top, clattered into Prowse, who was dragged down by Darcy McPherson. Good to see Logan Prout back from a knee injury. First game of the season for the Leachville product. Gets up to his feet here. Pumps the Blues to the edge of the arc. Hardiman comes crashing over the top. Here's Ison along the boundary again. That one was touched on the way through. And will go through for a minor score. So the gap 16 as we get to half-time. North Melbourne with 5 unanswered goals in the middle of that quarter. And unfortunately for the Blues, a couple of chances go begging late. Close enough if good enough, but the Roos really dominated much of that second quarter, Bonnie.
They really did, and they dominated uncontested possession. Plus 20 in that space, which you could see they were able to link the hands, get good inside 50 looks, and then were able to punish them on the scoreboard with those 5 goals.
Plenty of upside from an experience point of view for Carlton as well. Moyer's only had 4. Haynes has dropped a couple of marks he'd ordinarily take. He's only had 4 disposals. Cottrell clearly on some minutes restrictions, but only 5 disposals. Chesser the same, 5. Fogarty got busy in that second quarter, up to 8 disposals as well. So upside for the Blues.
Let's get some reaction from the Roos with Drew Jones.
Thank you, Joel. Skipper, you guys really took control of that second quarter. What allowed you to get on top?
Yeah, I think it's the contest. It's something we sort of pride ourselves in, is showing up to the contest and keep coming forward to the footy as well, not just rolling back. So if we can match in the contest, we've got plenty of leg speed on the outside, as you saw there through the middle, that can hurt the opposition the other way.
Small forwards doing the job for you. Braden 4 in the first, and then Jacob 2 in the second. You've got some control on the ground.
Yeah, if we can get it in there with some speed, let our small guys go to work. They're quick and nippy, so they can get dangerous, and as you've seen, they kick some goals.
Appreciate your time, Matty. Good luck.
Thank you.
So the Kangas up by 17 at half-time. Good Friday hasn't traditionally been their time slot against Carlton, but they have made a very nice start to this one. A big day of Good Friday footy here on Fox. It's the Roos by 17 at half-time. plenty to like about this first half from a Kangaroos perspective at Arden Street in the VFL. They lead by 17 points at the half. The Blues have had a few highlights as well. Plenty of AFL-listed players strutting their stuff this morning. Braden George has been chief protagonist amongst it all. It's the Roos by 17 at the half. Joel Peterson, Body Too Good, Josh Jenkins with you. Let's take a look at our first half highlights, and particularly our first quarter highlights, Bonnie, were dominated by Braden George for North Melbourne.
They were. He was doing it on the ground. He was doing it from set shots. He was applying pressure, and that's what you love to see from your forwards. He was a little bit quieter in the second quarter. More of his teammates got involved, like Whitlock, as well as Tarrant, providing options ahead of the football. But he was very excited in that first quarter, that's for sure.
And as we've spoken about, Josh, for all the dominance of Liam Reedy in the ruck, Carlton really haven't made the most of that in terms of the territory they've gained.
Yeah, for sure. And perhaps they're too focused on taking territory and maybe need to just make the halftime adjustment around a little bit more quality. If you're under pressure, yes, let's get as much ground as we can, but we have seen them move the ball. This passage of play here was probably the standout from Carlton's perspective. Just hitting targets, executing. I think we sometimes complicate things. If you can just hit the free occasionally or often, a teammate is free for a reason. North Melbourne did get out the back a couple of times. That one was because of a Nick Haynes dropped mark when he went up to try and intercept. So all things being equal, both teams have had plenty of opportunities. No doubt North Melbourne had a sustained run in that second quarter, but the Blues have been pretty good, provided they can keep this guy under control.
So, fourth season on the list for Braden George. Just his 20th VFL game in that time with all these injuries. His first kick of the day went out of bounds on the full. And from there, he kicked 4 goals in the next 20 minutes. He had this little nice fancy step. The long set shot we'll see in a second. He is a player playing with some real confidence at the moment.
He is, and as you can see in the highlights, he's done it in many different ways. He's been able to lay tackles. He's been able to win himself a bit of a contentious free kick, Bonnie, but he finished from downtown. So when you can do that, you don't just sort of pigeonhole yourself to a forward who can only get the job done in one way. He's clearly been able to do his thing in 3 or 4 different ways.
North fans will love seeing him up and about early in this one. Of course, a big weekend of footy on Fox. We'll take a look at that on the other side of this. It's the Roos by 17 at the half at Arden Street. This one of the highlights of the first half from young Xavier Bammett. Look at him just keep the legs moving, powers his way through the pack and rolls a very nice goal home on the left boot. The ex-Sandringham Dragons captain making his move there as North Melbourne's 23rd player today, given the opportunity to impress and doing so after 2 last week. He's got another today in this one. A look inside the Carlton rooms at half-time, and particularly in their method of delivery. And we know we talked about their fade-outs in the second half at AFL level, Josh, but it's been a little bit inconsistent from them so far.
Yeah, it has. We've seen really sharp passages of play, and probably when they've been more deliberate. So that's a long kick to an outnumber against, and you know this is a difficult situation for them with not many forwards to represent inside 50. But when they've been able to, Bonnie, move the ball with a little bit more precision and be a little bit more deliberate, that's when they've had great success.
Definitely, and we've heard on broadcast too when they've gone for territory and sometimes that hasn't worked for them. So when they are more precise, when they're changing angles and allowing their forwards to get in motion and hit into leading lanes, they're looking much more damaging.
There's Diesel Williams in the rooms as well. We saw Michael Voss here, Chris Davies at quarter time as well, casting an eye over things. Of course, the Blues in action this afternoon against the Kangas in the Super Clash at Marvel Stadium. That's coming up next here on Friday Footy on Fox. Then Adelaide and Fremantle, which is an intriguing game. Big Super Saturday too. Port and Sydney before Richmond and Port Adelaide. West Coast and the Swans to close things out tomorrow. Melbourne and the Gold Coast for your Sunday ticket before the Western Bulldogs and Essendon, and that Geelong Hawthorn game on Easter Monday, JJ, is always all kinds of fun.
Yeah, I think I know the answer. Anyone tipping Essendon here, or?
Yes,
No.
I am.
Yeah, Bonnie is
tipping
duty bound to
Essendon.
tip the Dons.
Yes.
I just thought I'd test you, and it was good because you might be the only one in this city.
She swung and hit at the curveball that you threw her way, Josh. It is a 17-point lead to the Roos at half-time. Second half from Arden Street is next. 5 second quarter goals from North Melbourne really opened this game up. Carlton hitting back with one late. They frittered away a couple of chances as well to try and get a foothold established in the game once more. It's a 17-point lead as we get going here in this second half. Good Friday footy on Fox. The Blues and the Roos to come at Marvel Stadium as well before Adelaide and Freo, so you don't have to leave your seat throughout the course of the afternoon. Let's get an update boundary side. Drew Jones.
Thank you, Joel. So just confirmation, the late withdrawal, River Stevens twisted his knee in the captain's run yesterday. They'll hopefully would get up, but not to be the case after failing a fitness test. So he'll be assessed over the coming days. Of course, it was McLaren Spiteri as the late inclusion for North Melbourne. Spoke to the club. They said that Taylor Goad is on managed minutes today, so he got through that ankle concern and is back fit to play, but not full match minutes. And just from a Carlton perspective, the second time we've seen Adam Sard play VFL after doing his hamstring against Richmond in round 1. They're hopeful that he gets through the game and is pushing for senior selection next week. And you've got to think Flynn Young is absolutely putting his name up in lights. 3 goals last week and a really solid first half here at Arden Street.
Yeah, absolutely, Drew. He's been excellent so far. There is Adam Sard, of course, for Liam Reid. He's been great in the ruck, but we think he might have a little bit to worry about maybe with the match review officer throughout the course of the week as well. You see some of the leading disposal getters in the game thus far. Harry Charlson with 13 for the Blues. There is Reedy. It was the bump on Hugo McCunder in that second term that will certainly get some scrutiny during the week.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's probably in some bother. A bump, probably a needless bump as well. That's the other element to it. It was not really that necessary. It was certainly not involved in the play. It wasn't that far off the ball, but it was just unnecessary. Bump to the head. I'd be surprised if that's not a week.
Some of the injured Kangaroos there. Jackson Archer, Griffin Logue sitting upstairs and watching things on. Underway here in this second term. There's a
Moya.
Blues down, Ashton Moya, who's gone down in the middle.
Started in the centre bounce, which I like because he hasn't had much of an impact in the game, but just caught one on the way through.
Back to his under-18 games. It's always been a challenge to get him involved in the game in the right way, Ashton Moya. Here's Spargo sending North Melbourne forward to start the second term. And the outstretched arms of Tarrant. He has been powerful up front.
Presents beautifully at the ball, doesn't he? He just reaches up and puts his chest toward the footy and doesn't worry about what's around him. He's got long arms, so that's good work from him.
Had a couple of opportunities so far in this game. Has big James Tarrant. Kicked one in the second term, missed another. And he's got North Melbourne on the board within a minute of the second half getting underway.
It was just perfect technique launching into that footy. How many times do you hear the coach say mark the ball at its highest point, and he was arms outstretched and against 2 defenders as well. So strong hands and a great finish.
Credit to Spargo as well. Just a nice, deliberate kick to the top of the goal square. It landed in the perfect spot. You want to land it in the goal square. It's too easy for defenders to get that ball over the line for a rush behind. That was a perfectly weighted kick and gave Tarrant the opportunity to do exactly what he did.
Big Will Dawson going up in ruck for North Melbourne in the famous number 18 for Wayne Carey reasons, not so much for sort of Josh Smith reasons. Hopefully Will Dawson can make a fist of his time in the number 18 for the Kangaroos. Sliding in was Dow. Moya's back to his feet, which is good to see. Sard with a lightning little hand pass over the top. Tucker kept it moving. He ran headfirst into a teammate. Now they turn it over, Carlton. Constanti measured the pass and Tarrant's presented all the way up defensive side of the wing. Nice little touch on the kick to McPherson as well.
Yeah, good bit of play there from North Melbourne to find that outlet mark, and great credit to Tarrant working hard to get up and out and be that outlet.
Whitlock pushed away from the footy. Floating in was Haynes. Picked that off pretty easily. Now, Lucas Campriali, the lefty of the brothers, goes straight to Ben. He'll get onto his right shoe. Talented 19-year-old twins out of the Glenelg Footy Club in South Australia. Lovely entry there from Tucker. Couldn't find O'Keefe on the end of it. Van Dam had it. He handballed straight into trouble. Cottrell couldn't pick it up. Hardiman comes through. North Melbourne's defence under all kinds of pressure. Akers rides McCunder into the turf. And he's given away a free. Gee, that's a late whistle for a dangerous tackle. Umpire had a long time to look at that.
Had to be holding the ball, did it not?
Especially after how long it took to arrive at that conclusion.
I think we'll just leave that one there, Joel.
Yes. Here's low. Centering kick. George from the back. Haynes got a hand to it. Wilson. Ben Campriali. Tucker. Nervous hand pass. Bit of Kevin Bartlett action about that. He went back and got it himself. Keast onto his left boot. Whitlock reaching up. He had the go-go gadget arms. He just couldn't pull it in. And who's there again but Tarrant?
He's everywhere. He just continues to present at the footy. Even the outlet mark that he took a couple of minutes ago, he was working his tail off to get back down the ground to be the next option as well. So clearly got great work rate, knows how to find a little bit of space. Whitlock unlucky not to get a chop in the arms for a kick there, but they look good, these two.
Unfortunately, the snap not quite there for James Tarrant. 2 goals, 2 for him today. It's giving them a nice option up front. Equal game high 24-point lead for the Brews, and now, or for the Roos, I should say. Carlton on the break. It was a terrific chase. Cottrell just couldn't quite get the kick away. Constanti, who was able to provide the pressure. Spargo on the Macaulay Road wing. Van Dam enters the 50. Tarrant again. He is an absolute wrecking crew up front.
He is absolutely everywhere. But I think it's because of their ball movement. It's so deliberate, it's composed, it allows the forwards to shift with the ball and get in a good position.
It's also highlighting a lack of key defensive stocks for Carlton. I think they've got some key post issues at both ends of the ground because this guy's just running rings around the Carlton defenders thus far.
Played his VFL footy at Old Scotch last season. He straightens up here, and James Tarrant's got 3. And he is providing a big old focal point for the Roos up forward.
The kick before, he went with the snap, and then on a tighter angle on the wrong side for a right footer, he goes the drop punt. Traditional, always the way, isn't it?
Yeah, you missed the easier one. Those snaps in those pockets are relatively straightforward, but a little bit of breeze assisted that drop punt, just took it back in to the teeth of goal, and look, his numbers are stacking up really, really well. He's had the 13 disposals, taken 7 marks, and 3 goals, 2. He's just got to continue to finish his work, and he's set for a big, big day. And look, at 26 years of age, if he can maintain this level of form, you just never know.
He was the primary ruck last week against Essendon. Didn't get too many opportunities in front of the sticks. He's having a really nice early part of the afternoon here on Good Friday. Clearance from Cookson, marked by Hanson Jr. Nice fist from Prout. Chesser with the inboard kick. 3 Roos surrounding this footy. McCunder, Hanson Jr. got the kick away under pressure, but it's scooped up by Tucker. Drops it on the left boot, and that's a very nice finish to answer for the Blues.
Great class and a great pickup by Tucker there, just the one-hand scoop. Unfortunate for North Melbourne, they had the numbers there. They needed to just execute their skills and particularly the handball to get out of their 50.
Great effort from Fogarty there. It was the small 1 against 2 in the air. Just did enough to bring the ball to ground, and then a great chase on Hanson Jr. He was the one who caused that poor kick, or that scrubbed kick along the ground, and Tucker did the rest. So just their method again, though, that no tall representation. It's left to 5'11" Lockie Fogarty to compete in the air. He did a great job, but you'd love to see a tall forward, Hudson O'Keefe or someone similar in that role.
Wilson with the clearance this time after Reedy cleared the way. Flynn Young hits up again at half forward. He drives it long. O'Keefe!
There we go.
There you go.
Too powerful in the square. And the Blues get back-to-back goals in a minute.
really the first sign of life we've seen from him. He's had a couple of spins in the ruck. It's the 4th disposal for him, but ball comes in quick and he gets the best position on his defender, and it was a nice kick in. Had to really take that mark and did. So good start to the quarter for him. He had a slow and very, very quiet first half. He's looked good at AFL level from time to time, and he's probably a player that is a project. He's going to have some time where he looks great at AFL level. He's going to need to come back to VFL level. He might even struggle from time to time at VFL level, but he's just going to have to continue to keep working at his game.
SSP signing a couple of years ago. Hudson O'Keefe out of contract at the end of the year as well, so still trying to prove himself to keep finding opportunities. McPherson out of the middle. Bammett onto the non-preferred right boot this time. Tumbles it around. Harvey, Monahan under pressure. Whitlock kept it in. Constanti to George, who's shown us some tricks already. Had that knocked away by Sard. And then pushes Sard across the boundary line.
We see the defensive effort by Constanti then, which is all in his wheelhouse, and what's so important as a small forward to be able to get this repeat stoppage inside 50.
Start AFLW Bomber. Bonnie Toogood with you alongside Josh Jenkins in commentary this morning. Good Friday footy here on Fox. North Melbourne and Carlton from Marvel Stadium in the Super Clash. Crows and the Dockers. Great day, so you can strap in on the couch no matter where you are. Enjoy the best of Good Friday footy here on Fox. O'Keefe. Chesser can't keep it in.
Off his foot.
It's going to be last touch.
Yeah.
Yep. Just inside the field of play when Chesser had boots a ball.
First we've seen in the game, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Noblet to take it for the Roos. Certainly the first in a long while. Hanson Jr., as we said throughout the call, one of a couple of Roos, alongside Cooper Harvey being trialled in defence this season. Right on cue. Here is Boomer's boy. Harvey measures the kick, goads the target. That's a really nice mark from Reedy.
Now, what's their method here to try and get this ball out of T50? Likely going to have to go long to a contest, but love to try and find a mark. Big fella's going to go for a gallop.
Shows he's got a little bit of craft as well.
You just want to, this is where you really learn what clubs are trying to do with their ball movement. There's not a heap of movement, certainly skinny side, so they're just going to take the contest.
Harvey stays with the line of play. O'Keefe read it nicely off the pack. Handball a bit too much juice on it though. It allows Fisher in. Off a couple of steps. He whacks it goalward and it sails through. Zach Fisher gets one against the old mob.
O'Keefe might have forgotten that they probably didn't cross paths, but he might have forgotten that Zach had changed the navy blue for the royal blue and white, because handball was very much astray.
Wee picks this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zach Fisher, that is one thing he's been able to do throughout his entire career. He's a long left foot kick, and his eyes lit up there. Absolutely lit up, and it was a great finish.
And he kicked a 1 goal from his 7 VFL appearances last year, 7 at the AFL level as well for Zach Fisher. 108 AFL appearances in his time in blue. Kicked one last week. And he's back on the goal kicking list this week. So North answer back, get that margin back out to 4 goals. Thompson Dow not letting Ben Campriali scamper free. Reedy and Goad. Taylor Goad playing managed minutes today. Fair to say he didn't agree with the umpire's call there. In absolute disbelief was the big fella. Blues inside the 50. Nice little bit of roving off the pack from Evans. Pops it over the top. Ison Walters in. Did he get boot to ball? I think he must have. Jack Ison's got a pair by the barest of margins.
You had to sell it too, did you hear it? Pay it, pay it.
I think he got a maybe a boot stud.
Yeah.
On it.
Maybe even just the shoelace.
Yeah, the shoelace.
All right. Yes. Oh, though, did it land on the Kangaroo player's foot afterwards? So Well, it's in the book.
Someone certainly kicked it.
It's
just who that person was.
It's in the book. It was an interesting decision to handball. I think probably entitled to have a shot there, but it looks like that ball is, if it hasn't hit Ison's foot, certainly.
Sometimes it's all in the cell.
Yes.
That might be one of those for Jack Ison, I think.
I think AFL players have got to stay with the cell, even with the arc as well. Sometimes it's a bit of a giveaway for the soft call that there's no celebration.
3 goals apiece already in this term, just 13 minutes in. They're both more than willing to take it on, these two teams. That's a poor exiting kick. Harvey turned it over to Dow.
You've got to get back off your mark, got to give yourself opportunity, a great intercept mark, try to rush it. You allow the players that are around the contest to stay in the contest, make them stand the mark, give yourself a bit of time and some space.
Fairly. Lovely rise. Bammett with a really nice bit of work in the air.
He's got a bit about him, doesn't he? Like, he's happy with himself too. It's good to see.
Why not after that? He goes back, he wastes no time, and he delivers the required result. And another for Xavier Bammett. He's got a couple on the day.
Nothing better than taking a strong contested mark and then rolling back and then kicking it through. It's never nice, you know, when you take a good mark and you then miss it. But great hops, was able to time it perfectly and strong in the hands.
And probably the shortest goal-kicking set shot routine I've ever seen. It was about 6 seconds work. So he was, I like what he's about. He's clearly got a bit of power, and his goal in the first half was, I think, probably the goal of the game so far, and that was a really nice aerial mark. So shows a fair bit for the Roos.
Query on him from a draft perspective last year, probably his upside, but he's showing that
there's upside.
He's right there to
No
mix
doubt.
it with the big bodies, and he's got a bit of athleticism and zip about him. He could be a name to watch in the near future. Blues chained it off half back, and nice work from Dawson.
I like what Dawson's done. I mean, the numbers are not going to jump off the page at all, but I've enjoyed his centre bounce work, and that was a really impressive intercept mark. Not as impressive by foot.
Monahan back the other way for the Blues. Kicks to a 1-on-2. Cottrell at least made an honest attempt. Kangas have all the numbers in the middle. Dow got thrown to the turf. Bounce evades Spiteri. Cottrell was there. Handball to Charlson. Now to Evans. Slipped over at the crucial moment.
Clumsy.
And got taken high. Charlson fashions the kick to the pocket. And O'Keefe hugs it to his chest.
He's come alive in this third term. Very quiet first half from O'Keefe. Still don't know, Bonnie, whether he's... This is part of the issue with some players of this size. He's got the double shin guards on, but he's not rucking much. I mean, at AFL level, is he a ruckman who is a part-time forward or vice versa? I think that's the first thing he's got to decide.
And then how do you balance that development throughout trainings and throughout the week?
21-year-old, 202 centimetres. Already got one in this quarter. From tight in the pocket. His kick glances the inside of the post.
But he has come alive. He's crashing more packs. He's getting to better positions. And then when Carlton are moving the ball better, they're also finding him in good spots.
Here go the Roos, bouncing back the other way. Skipper in Keast. Tarrant. He's been somewhat quelled in recent minutes, but he made such a bright start to the term with 2 goals. Drives it long. Wilson reads it nicely off the pack. Hogg connects it. He's got Evans in all kinds of space.
This is where you want to see their system take over again. So look how stationary the Carlton players are. I mean, they've got no option other than go there long down the line. They almost get a good result from it, but it shouldn't be your first option.
O'Keefe almost bailed them out, and then both teams turn it over to one another. Keast to Dow. He's got some options in the middle of the ground. Nice sharp work from Ison on the mark to affect the hand pass. George went in and got it, forced it loose. But it's coming back the other way. Oh, Akers has shinned that straight to Mukunda. Picked up by Monahan. Fashions the kick inside. And Cottrell lunges 48 metres out.
If you didn't know he was Irish, now you do, because that was a Gaelic kick if ever I've seen one. off the instep, getting that hip around and being able to just flex that ball around the corner. That was a really nice kick, really nice touch.
Can Matty Cottrell finish it off? Returned from injury last week, 6 AFL games last season. He lays into this, won't have the carry. You can hear the call to kill it. Hugh Byrne just bashes it back the other way, straight to Lucas Campriali. Whips it around off a step and misses.
Tried to kill it the wrong direction, I think.
Yeah, probably could have even taken the mark. Lucas Campriali up to 15 disposals, same as his twin brother Ben.
As you mentioned right off the top, played a couple of AFL games right at the start of last year, did Lucas. Ben had somewhat season curtailed by injury, only playing 14 at VFL level. A rise from Moyer almost delivered the result. Dawson in defence. Keast and now Hansen. Rising up Tarrant at half-back, working his way up the ground, trying to provide a presence. Does so at ground level now, but had the footy pinched off him. And then Hansen lays a good tackle.
Love that again from Tarrant, though. He's coming up the ground to try and provide an outlet. He does that quite naturally. We've seen it 2 or 3 times. On that occasion, he couldn't quite mark the ball, but he certainly understands an AFL system and the way that key forwards need to play. Typically, that'll even be a medium-sized forward, but he's got great work rate.
North got this game out to 30 points earlier in the term when Tarrant kicked his second goal. It was inside the first 10 minutes of the quarter. They've traded blows since. North with 4 goals in the term. Carlton with 3. A couple of opportunities gone begging more recently. Bammett links it up with Dow. Tarrant got down low, back to Dow, now for McPherson. It's all opened up for him. He can pop it over the top. It needs to settle for Whitlock, and it bounces back over his head. All 200 centimetres of him, and he could not reel that footy in. And that is a gilt-edged chance gone begging for the Roos.
Wow.
It is hard to stuff those ones up. And they made it look like an art form. McCunder in the middle wins it back. This time they'll be hoping to finish off their work. McPherson trying to keep this alive. And it's rushed across by Sammartino.
Well, again, it might be one that's better left unsaid, but it was they can get on the outside of Carlton. It's become quite obvious in this third term that they can get some space on the outside. Again, I'm just concerned about Carlton's willingness or even eagerness. They're so anxious to get the ball long and strong to a contest whenever they take possession. All of the good teams around the competition now, Bonnie, are looking to shift the ball and move the ball with speed. Carlton seemingly just want to take 50 metres long down the line and then reset.
And moving the ball at speed with hands or kick.
Yeah.
Like we just saw then North Melbourne, I know they blundered it, but they did it by forward handballs and making the defence roll up and trying to challenge them that way. So they need to find some pace somewhere.
Chesser at the stoppage to Ben Campriali. O'Keefe got dragged off it. Cottrell tries to work his way through and create something for Carlton. Hansen Jr. takes a couple on. Didn't look particularly interested in keeping that alive. Just on Braden George, so the 4 goals in the first term, 6 disposals. He's only had 3 since. So they've certainly, Damien Truslove said to Drew Jones at quarter time they were going to go to work on him. And the effort that they've put in has certainly been effective. Almost like the volleyball dig there from Hudson O'Keefe, straight to Charlie Spargo. The pokey kick inside from Fairley. Sammartino came up to meet it. Cookson's got some dash. He got dragged down, taking a bounce. And Xavier Bammett picked him off.
The X-Man.
He's explosive. And he Superman that, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He committed, certainly
Full
committed to the tackle, and talk about the wrong time to take a bounce.
Sometimes it's just not going your way. That for Will Cookson there. Here's Xavier Bammett, who's already got 2. Kicked a couple last week. He's made a really impressive start to this season. That one just didn't swing inside the post.
Talk about the fact that, you know, there's a view around. Maybe the upside's not there. I mean, I feel like all we've seen today is the X factor upside thing. So, you know, potentially as a player that's maturing at VFL level, he's improving in those areas, or he's even probably, Bonnie, getting or gaining more confidence in flying for marks. You know, maybe this time last year he wouldn't have even flown for the hanger that he took in the third term, or he wouldn't have been on his toes to lay a tackle like that. So certainly a player that I'd be keeping an eye on when it comes to the SSPs, no doubt.
Mid-season draft as well later in the year. He did play for Vic Metro last season. Wasn't a huge disposal winner there. Not picked up in the national draft. Chance there for Lowe. Spargo with a nice bit of roving. He got dragged down. And it's going to be a free kick going to Charlie Spargo. Tackle from Billy Wilson. Not legal.
We go around the corner, which, what do you reckon, 85% of players do these days? Maybe 95.
Would you have done it from here?
Yes, I was. Yep. I almost snapped from in front.
Here's Spargo. Well, he made it look pretty nice in the end. Charlie Spargo's on the board. And the Kangas have got that lead out to the better part of 5 goals once more.
It seems like there's less room for error, I suppose, when you're snapping it. Mentally, I think when I go back and snap, I feel like, you know, you hit the right spot more frequently.
I probably was convinced by Eddie Betts, who was a teammate of mine, to snap the footy. And the reason I think I was so convinced was he talked about, just because you're snapping the ball, it doesn't mean you don't have a routine. When you've got a set shot, everyone's got a routine. We talk about routines. Jason Dunstall on Fox Footy talks about it a lot, having a routine that you trust. No different if you're going to have a set shot snap. You should always have a routine, take your time. I think that's something Harry Mackay hasn't done in the past. He rushes his snaps, whereas now he puts the ball on the ground and takes a bit of time.
Charlie Spargo certainly made his routine work there. Dawson's a little bit sore.
Yeah, there might be a shin guard to the buttock, I think, might have something to do with that. Big Liam Reedy might have claimed one. Yep, there you go. There's the little right hand just to check if everything's still in one place.
Well spotted.
Well, I've been on the receiving end. I've never been able to dish any out, so I can feel his pain, and I think he's copped one in that ruck contest.
He looks very sore.
Yeah, look away now. Just there you go. Reedy's left knee right up in the right buttock. So that'll be ice for the week.
Oh, we saw Nick Dacos not come up last night after a corky.
Yeah.
For Collingwood too.
That was great vision.
Yeah. Of course.
In the pre-game on Fox, I mean, he could barely move.
Yeah.
Craig McRae saying, well, if he was a racehorse, you wouldn't back him. I'm thinking if he was a racehorse, he would have had maybe a few more structural issues than just whether he was being backed or not.
Wouldn't be allowed at the races for 6 months. He could barely move. It's quite bizarre, particularly for Craig McRae to be speaking to Fox Footy in the moment. It was unmissable TV.
It was very, very good television last night, that is for sure. The best of the pre-game again for both games today here on Fox. Blues and Roos fans don't have to go anywhere to watch their teams in the Super Clash. Blake Acres measures his kick, and a big fist from the forward turn defender Hugh Byrne earns the plaudits from his teammates.
That's a real work on for O'Keefe there. So when we talk about is he going to be a ruckman or a forward, I think he played that like a ruckman. He was slow to react. He couldn't get any separation. So see on the replay, he's got no real separation. Should be able to get a little bit of speed and separation on the lead there.
It's all about doing that work early, whether it's through body work or whether it's through your footwork and changing direction.
Yeah, spot on.
A couple of very astute forwards, Josh Jenkins and Bonnie Toogood, your experts here on Fox this morning. In the early part of this afternoon, Fogarty across the 50. Try and manufacture something out wide. Lowe's there for the Kangas. Fisher. Constanti to Lowe. Hanson Jr. a little further afield. Made it difficult there. Going his hand away as he went to ground was Keast. Wrapped up is Braden George, who hasn't seen a lot of the Sherrin after that blistering opening term where he had all 4 of North Melbourne's goals. So a smattering of spectators on that Macaulay Road wing. One bloke over there looks like he's just rocked up off his bike. He's still got the helmet on and everything.
Safety first.
There you go, right at the top of the screen underneath the Smithies sign. Shallow entry here, and Nick Haynes is picking those off all day.
Yeah, that's his game, isn't it? Good learning experience for Whitlock to play on an incredibly experienced AFL player who's been an All-Australian and been one of the best, certainly across a handful of years at playing that drop-off role, and not even being a +1, just being able to drop off an opponent and do the job there. So great learning experience for Whitlock today.
In an art form across the course of his career, Nick Haynes, and such a tough player as well. Plays with so much courage. O'Keefe, here's the target of the kick. It's knocked away from him. 29 points is the Roos lead. Carlton cut it back to 3 goals after Ison kicked his second earlier in the term. North have got a couple in a row to stretch that margin back out. They've been close last time they've met. Both teams played in pretty close games last week in their first hit-outs of the season as well. Keys took on the tackle, got dragged down, got caught.
I always find those ones incredibly harsh. I mean, it's almost an involuntary spin, isn't it, to avoid a body that's almost already there, and then you're instantly tackled. I think we'll see on the replay, there's almost no opportunity to dispose of the footy there. But clearly that spin is deemed prior and you're gone.
Yep.
He almost sort of started the spin before he even gathers the ball.
Yeah, there's basically no opportunity to dispose of the footy in that moment.
Here's Lucas Cambriale. It's an important kick right on the stroke of 3/4 time. And he's kicked it straight to the man on the mark. So fair to say that's not how he drew it up. The Blues will get it back though. The time waning here in this third term. Sard senses the urgency. Chesser. Kick to the pocket, through the outstretched arms of Lowe. Go, just sort of volleyball tapped it onto Van Dam. It's pinched by O'Keefe. It ricochets to Ison. Can anyone get boot to ball? Ison hooks it over his shoulder and misses.
I would have been disappointed to give one up there, North Melbourne. That ball should have been either a stoppage or rush through for a behind. Ison, he's lively, Ison. He's got a long way to go in terms of his development, but he is lively. He's got a little bit of Bailey Fritsch about him in the way he moves.
And North Melbourne get out of trouble to end that third term. And they've got a stranglehold on this game at 3/4 time. And Carlton will need to go from having these kind of comebacks against them to producing one if they're to take victory out of this. It's the Kangaroos by 28 with a quarter to play at Arden Street. Braden George got North Melbourne off to a hot start in the opening term. And although challenged by Carlton on a couple of occasions, it's been the Roos who've held sway in this ball game. With a quarter to play, they lead by 28. Xavier Bammett and Big James Tarrant have made quite the impact in this game. And Charlie Spargo among a couple of listed players to have gone well so far as well. 14-6 to 9-8 with a quarter to play. One of the big talking points out of this game from a Carlton perspective is going to be Liam Reedy, who we saw in the second quarter lay this bump on Hugo Makonda. And that looks like Josh Jenkins, it might have him in a little bit of strife.
Yeah, I'd say there's no doubt about it. It's unnecessary. It's quite late. The ball is 3/4 of the way on its journey to the next player. So, yeah, he's no doubt in trouble. He's not helped, Bonnie, by the height difference. You know, he's a 6'8" ruck when his opponent was barely 6 foot, but it was so unnecessary.
Definitely unnecessary with how the direction of the ball was flowing. He could have just gotten in the way of the player and disrupted his run, not via a block like that.
And the real shame of it is that he's had 17 disposals, he's dominated in the ruck, he's had 12 clearances, 5 inside 50s, 4 tackles, 4 score involvements. We talked about him being a big factor in this game, and he's been really good. Like, he has absolutely stood up in the middle of the ground for the Blues.
He definitely has, and he is getting the ball going in the direction of Carlton's goals, and that's clearly been a strong directive from the coaching staff, is gaining territory, and he's been pivotal in that. So to lose him for a couple of weeks is huge, potentially. Yeah,
especially they've got Adelaide to kick off. Gather round. Adelaide have chosen 2 rucks. That might be because Fremantle play 2 rucks, but we're seeing clubs with a willingness to play a couple of genuine ruckmen at AFL level. So, you know, even though he mightn't be the #1 preferred ruckman, there's still an opportunity to play 50-60% game time, but it's likely he'll be spending, you'd say, a week on the sideline. I doubt it's 2, but again, hand in the air. I'm not overly versed in the matrix.
So North Melbourne by 28 points. Let's get their side of things with Drew Jones.
Thank you, Joel. Coach, you've been able to respond to every challenge that Carlton have thrown down for you. What's the key in this last quarter to making sure that continues?
Yeah, I think we've stepped it up each quarter, and I think it's now about just finishing the game, and we focus then on winning the first contest, kicking the first goal, and getting some momentum from there. So that's the plan, and see how the boys go.
How big's James Tarrant been for you, particularly after quarter time?
Yeah, he's been immense. Had to sort of convince him to play on this year, and God, I'm glad I did. So I hope the state selectors are watching. There's still a little bit of room for a couple more additions potentially.
We saw Will Dawson cop a pretty heavy knock in the ruck. Are you going to be able to use him in this last quarter, do you think?
It's not looking like at the moment, but he's one of the tougher blokes running around the big shotgun. So we'll back in Taylor Goad in there, and yeah, big James Tarrant might do a bit of chop out work.
Adam, good luck. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Drew. Cheers, mate.
Had a mark on there with Drew Jones. Yeah, big Will Dawson. It's one of the great nicknames. I have no idea why it's called Shotgun.
No, I was just racking my brain. You always got to be careful with nicknames. You're just never quite too sure, but we might have to chase that one up.
It's been a long time coming. There's Braden George. He's got Rob Monahan for company. 4 goals in the opening term for Braden George, still pushing for his AFL debut. He was a really bright spark to start this game for North Melbourne. Cooper Harvey alongside Jack Ison at half-back as well. So the super clash still to come here on Fox this afternoon. And the final turn from Arden Street leads us into all of that. North by almost 5 goals as we start things off, and an early entry for the Kangas as well. Spargo fought through the tackle really nicely. Stanty's applied his pressure up front. The Blues will walk it out through Chesser and Wilson. Dart of a kick, a real rocket down the Macaulay Road wing. Fogarty was infringed upon. Fogarty was infringed upon in the marking contest. He can set it up. 2 kicks from home. Just eases it to the edge of the arc, and Van Dam drops back in the hole.
It's just hard to work out why there's such a desire to enter from there. That's the worst part of the ground. Now he's going to get a second chance here, and he should be looking off the line and trying to change the angle, get a little bit closer with one more kick before you enter.
This is more like it. Tucker, Flynn Young. He's a really fluid kick of the footy. A journey with maybe a bit of breeze at his back still should help him here.
You were spot on with changing angles, and again, we've spoken about it many times throughout this game, is when you change angles, how that then opens up leading lanes, and this guy, he's been in most of them every time.
Changes the reference point for the defenders. They've got to adjust and move, and occasionally they turn their head, and fall asleep. So it was a good little second effort from Fogarty on that ball use.
He was running his own show in the 50 early on, Flynn Young. Got a couple to his name, kicked 3 last week. He launches into this, and it's always to the left. Blues open the scoring here in this final term. Bailey Scott hasn't been able to find the footy today.
Yeah, he's had a tough time of it. Only 8 disposals today. It can be a little bit lonely from time to time playing on the wing exclusively as a winger.
Here's Xavier Bammett, who's done some really nice things, and that is right there among them as he spots up Spargo.
Beautiful kick, and can't wait to see the replay because he almost shifted his hips and changed where he was going to kick that footy. I think he was intending on the leading forward into the pocket. You can just see him shift at the very end and decide to kick it out the back.
And Charlie Spargo pops it through for his second. And the Kangas are out by a game-high 33.
He's been doing some exciting things in the back half of this game, Bammett. So he's explosive, he's got speed, and then able to execute a kick on a back 45 like that, kick it out into the space to a smaller teammate in Spargo. Very impressive.
Yeah, it had to land perfectly, didn't it? Because Spargo was, not a key position player. It was really, really impressive work from him. And I mean, you can occasionally get caught up in only seeing a player once or twice and can think they're better than they are, or you can see a player play a poor game and write them off. But Bammett's been incredibly impressive, and he's done a little bit of everything. That's what's been most impressive. He's been able to tackle, put some pressure on, be strong in a contest, and his ball use, particularly there, was great.
Coming off 2 last week, 3 today, and offloading a couple. Taylor Goads worked his way through things today, his first game of the season in anger. There's a vacancy in the ruck in the senior side at the moment. Jack Darling promoted to play a little bit later on for the Roos today alongside Callum Coleman-Jones, who's really failed to grasp his spot in the senior team across the journey. Young sends the Blues deep this time, and Moyer had really good position.
Great kick, but great body craft to hold the defender under the ball, and then at the right moment, that timing and to know when to release and mark the ball that's pretty special.
From Hardiman's perspective, clearly he's more of an attacking defender, but you've got to be able to hold up. You might get 1v1 contest a game. You've got to try and find a way to halve it.
Haven't seen a lot of it today, Ashton Moyer. When you get your opportunities, you've got to take them, and that's what he does there.
So I like the coaching move in the third term to start him at centre bounce, bring him into the game. And look, he didn't have much of an impact. He still only had the 7 disposals. But I love it. Cam Rayner's a great example. If he's had 2 or 3 disposals in the first half, and the player as an athlete's got the capability of going to centre bounce and getting involved, allow them to do that. There's nothing worse, Bonnie, you'd know yourself, there's nothing worse than just going cold and starving in the forward line. You just want to get up the ground, whether it's into the ruck, into the centre bounce, behind the ball, whatever it is, to give yourself an opportunity to get into the game.
And then gives confidence, breathes confidence into the player as well.
He is a real confidence player. He's Ashton Moore. He's got a big bag of tricks that he's willing to deploy at any time. Look at Big Tarrant. He's kept on moving. He's kept on moving, James Tarrant. And he's kept on kicking goals. He's got 4 for the afternoon.
Great example of his athleticism and his work rate. He was not just, marking forward, leading out. He was able to get involved in a handball chain. And gosh, North Melbourne look dangerous when they're doing those forward handballs, and how easily they challenge the defence when they do that.
Yeah, great work from him. He just stayed involved in the game. He didn't get a disposal up until the point where he received the handball and kicked the goal, but he was tapping the ball forward and staying involved in the game. And look at those numbers. They're really starting to look like one of the best players on the ground. 16 disposals, the 8 marks, 4 goals. It is a nice day at the office, and he might be in the ruck for a while because Shotgun Dawson might not be coming back.
Yep. Shotgun Dawson's, I think
he's out of ammo.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. The shotgun got sprayed and he was a little bit of collateral. Pallet might have got him on the backside. Here's Fisher for the Kangaroos. Out by 33 again. That's a poor entry. Easily picked off by Darcy Tucker. 3 of his seasons at North Melbourne at AFL level. Sends it wide for Ison. He's got a couple in the game. He shifts it forward. And now the run and the lead of Moyer.
He looks good, Moyer, when he can get some space and some isolation, but he just doesn't have the size to command that type of role. He's certainly not big enough to be an isolated key forward. So he's just going to have to continue to work on getting up the ground, getting back toward goal, particularly putting some defensive pressure on and staying involved in the game that way too.
One only a couple of moments ago to get the instant response for Carlton. It's a bit of a copter off the boot, and it is a helicopter whose flight tracking system wasn't particularly well calibrated. He's going to almost pinch it straight back. There's Van Dam inside defensive 50. Dragged down by Tucker. That time was Noblet. Picks himself up. You see the score, a 33-point lead to the Kangas. Nice stoppage work from Moy. Gave it straight back to the Kangaroos, though. They can start to build something moving forward here. Constanti off to Tarrant, who is absolutely everywhere. This time he's kicked it straight to Charleston.
Bit of a turnover game at the moment. We're seeing 1, 2, 3 turnovers in a row. So a little bit of composure. Carlton want to keep playing fast because of the deficit they face, but this is where you can be a little bit composed. You still move the ball quickly. You just don't have to rush.
Fogarty drops it off to Wilson.
He's confident. On the run, you'd say yes.
Got a decent leg on him, Billy Wilson. And out of the Dandenong Stingrays, 34th pick a couple of years ago. Made his AFL debut in round 17 of last season. He does get on the move, and he gives it a really good ride.
Absolutely flushed it. You said on the run, he did wind up a little bit, gave himself an arc coming off the mark to allow himself to get his hip angle greater to get a little bit more power through. Absolutely flushed it.
Good spot from Fogarty. He was too far out to score and didn't just want to dump it to the top of the square, which was what we've seen from Carlton a lot today. But good finish from Wilson. Find it, get the ball in the hands of guys who can get the journey, and importantly, he did get the journey. There's nothing worse than that ball landing 2 metres from goal, and it's an easy spoil over for a rush behind. So I don't know, it just gives Carlton the slightest chance to remain in this contest. There's still a pulse.
Still playing restricted minutes. He's Billy Wilson early in this season. It's a very nice finish there. Tarrant again going at ground level. He clatters into Chesser. Got boot to ball just with one hand in the end. Fashioned the kick forward, and the run comes here. It's Spargo cruising inside the arc, and he misses away to the left.
You can see why the coach, Adam Huckon, wanted him to make sure he signed up for another year.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully those Big V selectors are watching as he spoils that footy as well. I mean, he must clearly have a great aerobic capacity because he gets to so many contests.
Big V will be in action against SA at Glenelg next week as part of Gather Rounds. Fisher gets dragged down in the tackle there.
There might be more fans at that game than some of the lesser matchups, maybe Geelong and West Coast at Norwood, because they still take their origin footy very, very seriously in the SANFL. Very.
Indeed they do. It's a real point of pride, and great to see the Big V squad announced in recent days. Jackson Kornberg to be taking the reins of that team. Reedy out of the ruck on the left boot. O'Keefe got a hand to it.
What do you think there? Go for the mark and make sure you take it, or you shepherd it through?
Well, we saw Sam Draper do the same last night, didn't we? And I think I like to give the benefit of the doubt to the player, because you can never put yourself in their mind whether they thought they were closer to the goal post or not. But from where we're sitting, perhaps the shepherd was the right call.
Blues win it back here. Haynes Lucas Cambriali. Awkward spot off a step for San Martino. And Van Dam does well to make sure Moore couldn't access the footy.
Really struggle to get the ball off the line, off the traffic line, Carlton. You see it at both levels, AFL and VFL. They just can't quite get the ball across a line. If you think about an AFL field, long ways sort of in 4 lines or 4 tramways, they just can't get from one to the next to get away from some of the defensive congestion.
Cookson with the entering kick, backing back into the unknown there. Not being able to take the mark was Spiteri. Keast found himself in a world of trouble.
Looked a high tackle, but we'll have a ball up instead.
Cookson and Hansen Jr. are into it off the footy. Reedy controls it down. Young's on the end of it. He's gang tackled.
Watch for Reedy to try and grab this out of the ruck here against the leaner Tarrant.
Palms it down with the right hand again. Gains some territory. Fogarty, Cottrell, standing start. Chance for Hogg. Got one already. And he didn't like that off the boot.
They have been their own worst enemy at times in front of goals. They've kicked 11 goals, 11. And if they've had some chances within those behinds.
They're certainly pressing here. If they can get 1 or 2 more, then all of a sudden that faint pulse will become a reality. So
they could do the anti-Carlton.
Yes, that's right. Well, we're suggesting that for the AFL team. Maybe just play dead a little bit in the first half.
What did Sam Walsh say during the week? We need to run through the banner twice.
I don't know how well received that would have been by the Carlton diehards to sort of poke a little bit of fun at your own expense, but I liked it.
Yeah,
I'm not a Carlton diehard.
I was going to say, if we can't have a laugh at that, then we're in some... yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of giggling going on from Carlton fans.
As someone who's quite close to a couple of real diehards, and a very good morning, Tony. They're not a laughing type in these kind of moments, JJ.
But we do love seeing some character, I suppose, from the players.
As we love seeing the passion, as long as it's channeled in a
if you don't laugh,
direction.
You'll cry.
Yes. Taylor Goad might have thrown a little bit of an elbow back there at Jack Ison. So he wasn't happy with the treatment after Mukunda got upended. Now Hugo's going to take the free kick. 48th pick in the draft last season. Hugo Mukunda sends it inside the arc, and that's a powerful mark from Whitlock, not paid.
No, she must have decided or determined that was touched on the way in. Off the man in front. That's 2 though. Whitlock not paid the mark, but he caught the footy at least 2 times or twice today. We've seen him mark a ball that's really dipping on him, so he's got great hands.
Outside the line of his body, that one is impressive. We saw Jack do that a couple of times at AFL level last week too. Hardiman can't step away from the tackle there.
Shows you've got great concentration on the ball. You're not worried about any contact or physicality or where your opponent is. You just focus solely on the footy. It's good signs from him, and at this stage of his career, that's all you're looking for.
Only 3 touches today for Whitlock, but it hasn't been required, with Tarrant holding the line with 4 and Braden George doing all the early work with his 4 goals in that opening term.
It's been a likeable 3-possession game, which is a really strange thing to say, but it really has.
Sometimes as a key forward, like you might not get the marks, but as long as you're competing in the right positions to then bring in your small forwards and other players, it's sometimes the 3 possessions is okay.
And their forward lines look pretty functional as well.
Yeah, very. Yeah.
So you certainly couldn't say that Whitlock hasn't sort of played his part in what they've needed structurally. He's Lowe. He's got a lot of tall targets up there, the Roos, with Tarrant and Lowe and Whitlock. They've got some big bodies to aim for. Chesser strolls off half-back. Young from outside 50. Goal square at his mercy. That's a brilliant finish. And Flynn Young, with back-to-back 3-goal games, he is putting his hand up for the Blues.
Absolutely, and anyone with a bit of class is beloved at Icon Park, and he's got some class, 17 disposals. He's had the 3 goals too, but he's had 11 score involvements. So being able to be a part of their scoring thrust, and good to see Campbell Chesser involved. He's had a little bit of a quiet day overall. but a nice finish. Someone who backs himself, and clearly he knew he had the capability. Open goal square, he did the rest.
And how he works into the space, I feel like a broken record a little bit today with how well he's been able to find the open pockets and hit up at the football. And his timing is impeccable, and he puts himself in positions to be involved in score involvements as well as put on the score himself.
Numbers are impressive. 17 disposals, 11 marks and 3 goals.
Yeah, the 11 marks jumps off the page, doesn't it? The next best for Carlton's only 6. So if that was an intercept defender or a rebounding defender, you think, well, he's just getting the sideways uncontested marks, but has not been the case.
And 11 score involvements, the next best is 7 for this Carlton team. Here's Scott. Pokes it into the arc. And the X-Man, Xavier Bammett, he's on the end of it again.
Seems every time Carlton get one, North just have an answer, and they have composed ball movement, spot up a forward, and Bammett, gosh, he's been lively, hasn't he? And there he didn't need to be too explosive. He just stood in the spot and jumped off 2 feet, a little bit Tim Membry-esque. Let's see if he can go back and slot it.
He's aligned himself with Corowa Rutherglen in the O&M, so if he ever isn't playing VFL, have a long travel trip in front of him, but the way he's kicking them at the moment, he'll be playing for the Kangas for a while yet. Xavier Bammett's got 4. He joins George and Tarrant with 4 goals for the Kangas.
He used the wind well there. You can see in the trees it's a bit breezy, and he aimed it at that right-hand post and allowed it just to ease back through the middle of the sticks.
He might be playing with the real Kangas if he keeps this up. He's a good finisher. He's tell you what, he's showed a lot. He's got upside. There's no doubt he's got upside. I know, you know, there's always a reason why you can look past a player in drafts, but I've loved his game today because he's done a little bit of everything, and that was a good finish.
He's played with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder as well, which I like.
Rightly so. What a great performance he's put together. Xavier Bammett, one of a few roos to have 4 in the game. Just stretches that margin, makes things a little bit more comfortable, and sees off a little bit of that Carlton challenge. Hanson Jr. picked off by Monaghan. Couldn't take it with him, though. Fairly. Try to get rid of it initially. Umpire said it was okay.
He might have just needed that from Bammett, too, just to keep Carlton at bay. They had a really good first 15, 16 minutes of the quarter, so important mark and very important goal just to steady things.
3 goals apiece so far in this final term. It's just been arm's length all the way since quarter time for North Melbourne.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of it. We've seen high scoring and fast starts. O'Keefe gives away a free kick in the ruck, but we haven't seen much across the early part of the AFL season where teams have made big comebacks. But because the game's a lot more open and attacking, I'd be surprised if we don't start to see some.
Hanson Jr. measured the pass for Bammett, who pulled it in just inside the line. Tarrant the target at half forward. Haynes left it behind. Tarrant's been nifty at ground level today. He couldn't collect that one. It's walked across by Sammartino. Let's go downstairs, check in with Drew Jones.
Joel, just been doing some research, mate, on the shotgun nickname for Will Dawson. Apparently in his draft interview, he said he loves fishing and shooting, not necessarily at the same time. Yeah, this is a Clarko-led one for shotgun.
Like it, Drew. We knew you'd go fishing and shooting and get us the answer, and you were right on target. So nicely played from Drewza. It's Lucas Campriali for the Blues. Floats the hand pass infield to Wilson. Now Evans off a step from 55. Pounds it to the square. Ison back with the flight. There's no one there. It was just a rolling ball waiting to be struck, and no one was home.
And there's a bit of carnage on the back of that contest as well. Ison's a little bit sore. There's a sore Kangaroo as well. Hardiman's copped a knock or a twist on the way down there as well. So hopefully he's okay.
Just coming back from injury, it's Riley Hardiman. So he'll be hoping to run that one off. Had a contract at the end of the season, the young West Australian. Force his way back into the senior team. Zard's little kick was crafty. Hogg bullets one toward Fogarty. He couldn't pull it in. Off a step, fairly blasted out of there. So the Roos defence has been resolute when they've needed to be. Whitlock's had sparing opportunities throughout the day. Now they can go back into ball control mode and see this one out.
Great decision-making by Whitlock, and then to Zach to go back again. They had nothing ahead of the football. Find some composure and build it up again.
From a Carlton perspective, if you're watching on, at least seen a little bit to be excited about. The likes of Flynn Young today. They could not have done any more to press his case for a senior recall. Monahan stepping through, showing some dash. We know Cotterill's got plenty of run. Evans out at half forward. Campriali on over the top. And he finds Ison. And Jack Ison's got a couple to his name. He's looking for a third here.
Be a nice day at the office for him if you could pick this one up and finish with 3, maybe even more. Again, he looks a likely type. He moves well. He has kicked the ball reasonably well. He's creative. So good to see Carlton getting on the outside and getting some uncontested chains of ball movement as well.
First year blue. 2 last week, 2 already today. Jack Ison's got 3. He's been another really shining light in this Carlton team today.
See here, it's just a good build-up by hand, getting the ball off the line. That's what they haven't done much of today. So they go from the near side, the broadcast wing, almost to the far wing, and it involves 3 and 4 players running toward Carlton's goal and allows the forwards to make one of any decision, get back to goal, hit up at the kicker, create a bit of space, tick up at the ball carrier. So that was probably one of Carlton's best passages of play.
It's Damien Truslove back at the Blues this season. He spent some time there previously, coached Daniel in the Northern League last year. Metropolitan Leagues in Melbourne. So 19 points. There's a little bit of time left in this game. 4-4 in the quarter for Carlton. 3 goals, 2 for Ison, 3 goals, 2 for Young for the Blues, out of a couple of their smallish forwards. Another chance at full forward here for Young, who just wrestled his way to the footy, picked it up, he threw it on the boot. It would have been a very impressive finish. It bounces out of play.
Would have been a very impressive finish, and the heartbeat would get slightly stronger.
Yeah, I just hope we've got a similar game in store under the roof at Marvel, because these 2 young teams have played really good footy across the afternoon and not quite there yet. We're not quite done just yet.
A bit to take away from that game for both of those AFL teams this afternoon. You wouldn't want to be the loser as Wilson drives it to full forward. It's out of play. North were thoroughly unconvincing last week against Essendon at AFL level, and Carlton, we know what happened there in that second half, so they'll be seeking a response. North haven't won a Good Friday AFL clash against Carlton. It looks like North Melbourne's undefeated run in the corresponding VFL game will continue as well. They've lost 3 in a row to the Blues at AFL level, the Roos, and they've won 3 in a row at VFL level. Ben Campriali misses there. 21 disposals for both he and Lucas today.
Putting you on the spot, I'd imagine that means North Melbourne, have they won a Good Friday game?
Well, they're 1-7. I think they did win one of the early ones. Of course, they've been absolutely eviscerated in a few. The Josh Bruce game.
Yeah, yes.
When he kicked 10.
It's not a great record, is it, 1-7? Particularly when you're trying to take ownership of...
Well, it could be worse. It could be a lot better.
I like their chances today.
I think they'll be right in the frame. 2-1, of course, wins against Port Adelaide and Essendon thus far. The loss to West Coast. The Blues with the loss to Sydney. And they lost last week either side of a win against Richmond, which that one was pretty hard going as well. Here's a chance, a really good story for Logan Prout, who missed all of last season bar 1 game with a knee injury. Played a lot of good footy up in the northern areas of Victoria. He's going to after plying his trade mostly as a defender across the course of his career, we get a little bit of a look at what he's got in front of the sticks. On return to football this season, Logan Prout, he's looking for one for the road, and he misses away to the left-hand side.
Needed that because that would have made it 2 straight kicks, and we've had 7 goals in the quarter, so there's potentially still some time on the clock, but probably needed that one to go through.
17 points at North Melbourne lead. Had it out beyond 5 goals to start the term on a couple of occasions. Carlton have just kept chipping away at it with the last couple in the game. Cookson went looking for Chesser by hand. Steaming through was Monahan. That was some powerful stuff. Cookson's a crafty type. He wobbles that one goalward, and it misses.
If only that one went through, could have been a classic 7-point play maybe, but another opportunity gone missing there for Carlton in front of the sticks.
Had a few. The last 4 scores have been behinds for the Blues.
This is where you'd like to see the Roos maturity come to the fore. There's plenty of players who have got experience, who've got 80, 90, 100 games of experience. So is Fisher doing exactly that? Get involved, get some uncontested marks, take 3 or 4, and the game is effectively over.
Fisher with the game high 25 disposals for the Roos. Hanson Jr. with 24 coming off the half-back line. Constanti takes the mark there. Darcy McPherson's had 23. Dow's had 20. We've seen some great performances from some of their non-listed players today for North Melbourne, particularly Bammett and Tarrant, who've really stood up. And they're just trying to wind the clock off this. North Melbourne, both of these teams looking for their first VFL win of the season. North have got Sandy next week before GWS in Geelong. There's Bammett again rising high. It's been a real display from him this afternoon. Carlton with Collingwood next week before they take on the Devils, and then St Kilda. Well, so next week, of course, after gather round after the bye, as Thompson Dow's interfered with trying to take the mark.
Really mature build-up by North, and Fisher got involved multiple times throughout that build-up and just taking the sting out of the game late in the quarter, making sure that Carlton can't have a sniff, and really composed there by North.
The recruiters that wrote up Bammett's profile might need to rewrite it. I mean, he has honestly shown nothing but X-factor and athleticism and explosiveness today. Even that one where he tried to take a specky, it was impressive in itself.
Here's Thompson Dow to try and finish things off for North Melbourne on what's been a really good afternoon at Arden Street. He misses to the left-hand side. They won't quell their spirits, though. Carlton's charge is going to be left just a little bit too late. North have led at every change. Margin grew at every change in the first 3. Carlton have been able to chip away at it late. Cookson wobbles it to half forward. Low. Van Dam along the boundary line. Look at Cookson just charge his way inside the 50. He's not giving up on it. Will Cookson clatters through. That looked nasty for Nick Haynes.
Yeah, there was an arm stuck in there. I was just about to mention the fact that Haynes has been thrown forward, or has thrown himself forward, and
that doesn't look all that flash.
No, that was just jammed in between 2 players who are colliding, so hopefully he's okay, the veteran.
He sort of looks like someone who knows that he's not at the moment. Just reaching for that forearm.
Best to just walk straight. You might as well just walk straight off to the boundary, because yeah, he might have just got it out in time.
Fingers crossed for him. He's going to get a kick here.
He can't get away.
Probably not going to help his case. He kicks and finds a target as well. It's Prout again who's floated forward.
They certainly should have been closer. They have had the potential to be a lot closer than they are.
25 scoring shots to 23. He had an opportunity earlier. This time Logan Prout sneaks it in. Maybe, just maybe.
Yeah, well, we do go long these days when it comes to quarters. So we've seen sort of 35s and 36s at different stages. We've had plenty of scoring in this quarter, so lots of time on, and I just found a way to stay away from the goal post. And
8 goals, 9 in the quarter.
yeah, so who knows? Might be foolish. The siren might be about to go in 3 or 4 seconds, but yeah, they should be closer. This could be game on here at this centre bounce if Carlton had have taken their chances in this last term.
So the Blues have got it back to 11. It's just gotten interesting. And there you go. The siren does sound. There won't be a Carlton comeback today. And Good Friday is off to a very good start for North Melbourne fans. They hang on to beat the Roos by 11 points. Carlton closed with a flurry, 5 last quarter goals. But it was the Roos' early work that set up the victory for them.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think the story of the game, I mean, a lot of Kangaroos fans watching on Fox at home are looking for the AFL listed players. But in total honesty, I think the story of the game was some of the unlisted players or the non-listed players. Tarrant's game was sensational, 20 disposals, 8 marks, kicked 4 goals too. We talked about Bammett as well, 15 disposals, 7 scoring involvements, kicked 3 goals, 1. So really nice pickups for North Melbourne to continue to build, particularly if you get some injuries to your AFL listed players.
And on the other side of things, Bonnet, you know, the likes of Flynn Young and Jack Ison have staked their claim for the Blues.
They definitely haven't, and they're exciting prospects, that's for sure. And I just loved, like, I think I really am a broken record today in the sense with Flynn Young. I just loved his forward craft and his ability to be the link, but then also the one to execute on the scoreboard. And Ison, he's got some tricks in his bag, and that's what I like to see. And as the game went on, he got more into it and was able to get his hand on the footy and find it and get involved. So look, there's some shining light in there, and they did come home. They tried to come home strong in the last little bit there.
Roos too good by 11 points. Let's check in with Drew.
Thank you, Joel. James Tarrant, 4 goals, 20 disposals, and a win. Nice to have the office for you.
Yeah, it was nice to get off the mark with a win. We're a bit disappointed with how it played out last week, so good to be on the right side of it today.
Now, I spoke to your coach, Adam Mark, on at 3/4 time. He said he had to convince you to come back and play for North this season. Are you happy you did?
Yeah, no, I mean, it started the year really well. I mean, it was sort of trying to balance work and footy as such as life for a VFL player. But, yeah, really glad I came back. Always enjoyed it. So, yeah, rapt to be back and rapt to get a win.
And a career best performance from you today, 4 goals.
Yeah, it's nice to hit the scoreboard. A couple out of the ruck as well, which are always a bonus. So, yeah, it's really, I mean, it's great to play with the guys like Whitlock down there. He's really crafty, really smart, and got Lowy down there as well. So we've got a great connection down there, and yeah, work off each other really well.
16 AFL listed players for Carlton today, and they put up a pretty good showing, but you must be proud of the performance from the boys.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've got a pretty strong contingent ourselves, so I thought it was a pretty high quality game. Yeah, the ball was pinging around, and I think there'll be a few sore boys. So I think we actually might have a bye next week, so it'll come at a good time for a few of us.
James, well played, mate. Sensational.
Thank you.
On you, mate.
Cheers.
Great performance from great performance from James Tarrant. 4 goals. A really impressive and mature performance, and as we said, one of the non-listed players to really be a shining light for the Kangaroos today. A lot to like about his game, and really in that early part of the third quarter, he took the game away from Carlton.
He did, and he was even more impressive, you could argue, when he went into the ruck. I think conversely, a little bit disappointing from a Carlton perspective. Ashton Moyer didn't have much say in the game, 9 disposals, 1 goal, 1. I thought Campbell Chesser was very quiet, only 12 touches on the wing. And Cottrell's working his way back. Akers was a bit messy and a bit scrappy with ball in hand. And he worked hard as he always does. Fogarty, made some errors as well. And it looks like these, don't tell me the Kangas have got some extra running. It looks like they might even have a little bit of extra work to do, which has been known to happen from time to time.
That's just what you need on your public holiday, to go back in and do a little bit more work. This is how it all started. Braden George with 4 first quarter goals. He was one who was a a real spark up front for the Roos. Hasn't played at AFL level yet, but got them off to an absolutely flying start. The Blues fought their way back into the game from there, but they just kept having answers. Lowe bobbed up, Tarrant bobbed up, Xavier Bammett bobbed up with 4 goals. Bonnie, they had plenty of options inside the 50.
They definitely did, and it all started from their composure of half-back as well. Their ability to find targets and create uncontested chains of football allowed their forwards to get in great positions to execute. So it was a really great performance by North Melbourne, and keen to see if their AFL side can do something similar later on today.
They'll certainly be hoping that they can. The Blues had plenty of winners as well. They just couldn't put it together for long enough. Darcy Tucker kicking a nice goal on the run there. Flynn Young chipping in with 3. Jack Ison with his 3 as well. This is a nice finish from Zach Fisher. Off a step from 50 metres out. We know that that's so much of what he can do with his long left boot. And Xavier Bammett setting up one in that last quarter for Charlie Spargo. They got it out to 33 points at the start of the last. We thought Carlton might have that comeback opportunity, JJ, but ultimately they weren't quite good enough. It is the first of a big day here on Good Friday. It is Carlton and North Melbourne in the Super Clash at Marvel Stadium. Let's send it across to Gary Lyon.
Thank you, team. Good afternoon and welcome. Good Friday footy on Fox, brought to you by Ford. A very special day on the footy calendar, a day where we recognise the extraordinary care provided by the Royal Children's Hospital for kids from around the country, recognising also the challenges for extended families and friends. So to take a bit of time out of the treatment phase, which can be very long and gruelling, this game provides a wonderful sanctuary. As I say, good afternoon to Tom Hawkins and Jordan Lewis. Great scenes already here today at Marvel Stadium. We had the players and patients from the Children's Hospital out on the ground kicking footies. It is a great day for them. It's a great day for us. We love footy, of course. This becomes a really special day.
Yeah, it does. I love seeing the human element of players. Both sides have had their critics to start this year, but the work that they've done during the week to involve families and involve kids through what is an incredible organisation is fantastic.
So high engagement opportunities, Geordie. So this is the purple carpet. So the players walk down the carpet, into the ground and the arena with the patients from the Children's Hospital, then get out to run around on the grass. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you should have seen the smiles on their faces. We met a couple of kids downstairs and young Augie will be involved today, but you couldn't imagine what them and their families go through. And I even said to my boy on the way here, you'll see kids out on the field that are going through all sorts of issues. Just count yourself very lucky to be fit and healthy at the moment, but certainly what these two clubs do and what this day does in particular is hopefully put a smile on their faces.
Yeah, and it is a game that is scheduled in the middle of the Good Friday appeal. So let's not forget what the day's all about, the QR code there. So if you can make a contribution, it will be greatly appreciated and going to the most worthy of causes. Let's go upstairs to our 2 commentators, Jared Waitley and Anthony Hudson. Good afternoon, boys.
Afternoon, Gaz and team, and afternoon to everyone. A bit of a nervous wait, I'm sure, for North Melbourne and Carlton fans. The Super Clash, it was never unanimous, Jared, was it, that we should be playing footy on Good Friday, but North, in terms of what they've done off-field to honour the day and respect the day, couldn't have put more of a foot, haven't put a foot wrong, have they? But on-field, it's been a different story.
So they have been great custodians of the day, but what they haven't done so far is met the on-field, the standalone fixture. There's been one thriller and some fearful hidings in there, the worst of which was probably last year, where all of the same questions around progression were being posed and they got belted by 82 points. So maybe they were 12 months premature, but it's time to meet the obligations of the football side of it today after all the meaning that goes on beforehand. Carlton have a big role in this as well, so 4 changes. There had to be change.
They did.
There's a lot of stories in here. The return of Nick Newman, Wade Dirksen finally gets his turn, and as well as the personnel, there's mechanics to go on.
There is. Chera should make them, along with Newman, should make them a better team. Wade Dirksen's a great story, isn't it? 4 years on the Giants list as a forward and then as a defender in the VFL. There was overtures from other clubs. Giants kept him, and then they delisted him after 4 years. Thought his career was done. A 4-day drive from Darwin just to get to Carlton to fight for that SSP spot, which he was able to get. And now he makes his debut. Intercept defender.